Well, a very good Monday evening to you, ladies and gents, wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome to Simple Racing Broadcast, whether this is the first time here or you're back with us. It's great to have you along tonight as we get back into some racing action after what was a pretty quiet week last week with only the one race going on. MC Motorsport gets back into full swing, 2 rounds this week, and we start tonight with, of course, the Domains2U MCV8 series as we enter the second half of the season that will roll on into the legendary Watkins Glen. And with 5 rounds now in the books, we're really into the business end of this season, and the championship fight is heating up at the top of the table. We'll take a look at that in just a moment as we break down what lies ahead here this evening. My name's Jared Cole. In the booth with me here tonight is Isaac Fogarty. Isaac, welcome on in.
Good evening, Jared. Good evening, everybody. Excited to be back. I feel like it's been a little while since I've been in the booth for MCV8, but looking forward to Watkins Glen tonight. Obviously, the Cup layout, a very exciting circuit, very loose with the track limits as well around here. So, looking forward to seeing how the drivers take this circuit this evening. It's going to make some for some exciting racing, that's for sure.
Track limits. What track limits on the Cup layout? There are basically none when you run the NASCAR limits at Watkins Glen, and it does make it very interesting. We, of course, had a visit here to the Cup layout a little earlier on this year with a round of the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercar Championship coming here as well, and we saw some pretty interesting lines being taken, particularly through Turn 1 and Turn 2, where you've got a huge amount of extra track that gets opened up with the removal of the standard track limits. But of course, we also saw some absolute carnage from that little wall that juts out just before Turn 2, and I've already predicted in the chat that I reckon we're going to see probably the same here again this evening. That's my call, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. Before we get too far into things, though, let's take a look at the setup for this evening. It is a reasonably cloudy day. There's a small chance of some showers at some point here across the course of this evening's racing, but doesn't look particularly likely. High humidity, few clouds around, nice little breeze. We'll make sure that any showers do come through fairly quickly and clear out as well. 2 races here tonight in this feature round, 22 laps to start us off, and then of course 44 laps with the reverse top 10 grid as the feature race this evening. And as always, open setups are available to all of the drivers here tonight with a 61% fuel restriction, 80 litres, which should see them get through about 25 or 26 laps, depending on just how conservative they want to be with that throttle here this evening. So we're expecting that to be a single stopper for race number 2. Of course, you never really know what's going to happen, do you, Isaac?
No, that's right. You never really can tell, especially at Watkins Glen. Anything can happen, and a safety car or two will definitely throw a spanner in the works, especially in that longer race coming up later on. So, looking forward to seeing what comes our way this evening. I'm sure the drivers are hoping that it'll be fairly incident-free tonight, but I do like the idea of a safety car around here.
Yeah, and look, I think if we're ever going to get one, it's going to be under the Cup layout. A big hello, of course, as always, to Matty Morgan and G'day Tom in the chat as well for Koala Cartel. This is how it stands, and plenty of Koala Cartel representation in the top 20, although sort of clustered as the koalas tend to do towards the bottom end of that. James Chastanov out in the front, but there's really not a lot in it at this stage. He's built up a healthy lead at the halfway point, 1,097 to Will Buchanan's 1,071 points, and William Brown not too far behind on 1,031. Brett Loxton sitting just outside the podium positions, as is Jamie Dyke and of course Matt Bowler, and then only a small gap back to Thomas Hins and Hayden Veld. So it's still pretty tight fighting up the front end. Of course, not a huge number of points that you can really switch around each week. So, 26 points for Chastity out in front. It's not a huge number, but it's also not a particularly easy lead to reel in here with MC, is it?
No, but, there's 101 points between the top 7 drivers. That's a very competitive field, and James Chastanoff, he has to know that it's really going to be on him to perform week in, week out if he wants to continue to hold on to this championship, because it is very tight at the top, and one small mistake or a difficult couple weeks, difficult round or two can really put you in the firing line. So looking forward to seeing if he can continue tonight to perform the way that he has, and obviously there's a few people around him that will be hoping that they can outperform him numerous times before the season is over to put themselves in a position to win this championship. But it is well and truly alive with that. Even the top 8, Hayden Veld not too far off either.
Absolutely. We'll take a look a little bit further back as well to pick up the AM Cup drivers. Simon Caplet in 21st is the best placed and continues to hold on to that lead. 60 points the difference between himself and Jacob Billiard. He's looking very, very good to take that one out. Of course, we're only halfway through the season, but that is a solid lead to have built up already. Jacob Billiard, for his part, is a little way ahead of Adrian Gresh, and then he's got Dean Power and Matt Bakia right behind him as well. But they are a little more spread out. Trev Morton and Aurora Long, probably you would think out of contention for the M Cup at this stage, and a few drivers that find themselves a fair way back from not participating in quite as many rounds as a lot of the other drivers here. But it has been a pretty eventful opening half of the season, and I expect we'll get more of the same here tonight at Watkins Glen. With no further ado though, we will head on down to the track and catch some of the qualifying action as the drivers make their way around this cup layout. And it is a little overcast out there. Josh Harris behind the wheel, and he's, as always, graced us with his presence on camera. Whether he realises he's there or not is a whole other question. But he is a little way down the field at the moment, sitting in 15th as he tries to navigate this. We'll take a look at just what a lap around Watkins Glen does look like, and you can see just how much extra of the track is available to them there. There's a huge amount of extra width on the way out of one that these drivers are going to have to make the best of to try and keep the speed up before they start to climb up through these S's, and then of course make their way towards the bus stop, which it's really changed in character since the rescan and the rework of Watkins Glen. The curbing has really made a significant difference to how you approach and how you attack that bus stop, and it does allow the drivers to really throw it in a fair bit more, although it's not quite gone the way Josh would like there, I'm sure.
It looks like he was maybe trying to do a little bit of a sneaky one and give his teammate in Ryan Palmer a tow along the very long run up the hill and towards the bus stop. So Ryan was very aggressive through the bus stop chicane, and Josh sort of just opened up the steering as they exited the bus stop and let him go through. So that's we'll have to see if this is then an improvement for Ryan Palmer on this lap. Trying to tell with the colours, it's a bit hard sometimes, the green and the yellow, as to what is an improvement for Ryan Palmer. He stays where he is, doesn't improve at this stage. It was just off his best time, actually, not too far away from where he was. James Scott, though, has gone purple in sector 1, so the fastest first sector for James Scott, who is going on with it at this stage, so looking to threaten Matt Bowler at the front of this field. And there's the car I was looking for. We were talking about this in pre-broadcast, Jared. I was looking for the car with the Red Bull Ampol livery, and he's certainly channeling the Red Bull Ampol speed at the moment with the pace that he's got in this car. He wasn't as quick in the middle sector, but what is it as he comes to the line for James Scott? Is it an improvement? No, it isn't. Oh, no, it is. He goes to the top, so a 10.276, so that is just faster than Matt Bowler, who will now, on his outlap, have to find a little bit of time to improve.
And as always, it's a really, really tight field here. 17 drivers within a second of the fastest time. So it is a fairly short lap on the cup layout as well. It skips a lot of the classic Watkins Glen boot. And so it does make for a much shorter lap, but it does definitely keep pace up as we stay with Matt Bowler as he starts another lap here. The Eclipse Motorsport guys are really demonstrating their dominance with the V8 supercars. There's that wall I'm talking about, that little one jutting out just on the right of the screen that we just saw a glimpse of. I will almost guarantee that we're going to see a driver belt into that at some point this evening. The question is how many people they'll take out when they do it. Eclipse Motorsport though, 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. Hayden Veld's just set a purple second sector, and he's about to come across the line. Whether he'll improve on his position here, we'll find out in just a moment. But that's 2 purple sectors. Does improve, but doesn't improve his position overall. So that first sector was much, much slower for Veld than he was probably hoping. That said, the top 3 all within a tenth of each other. That's pretty close, you'd say.
Yeah. Eclipse Motorsport. So once again, these guys just really showing what they can do. This is James Chastaneff, our championship leader, on screen now. What can he do through this? Is Dane Snadden, jumps up to 12th, and he's got a car behind him. I believe that might be his teammate in behind him, Ryan Nielsen. So sitting in front, giving him a bit of a tow. You think it might be the other way around for these guys, but James Chastaneff playing the team game gives him a bit of a tow. Does he improve? He does not on that occasion, so stays 5th and about 4 tenths away James Scott at pit exit, so he's coming back out for another go here potentially. I don't know if he's going to have time to get around. So from a lot of these guys, we're now getting to the point in the end of where it's going to be done. I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me correctly, it will just cut them off at 15 minutes. So you really want to be coming towards the end of your lap now. For James Chastain, he probably won't get another chance here.
And just before we do get to the end of the session, highlighting Simon Caplet, the leader of the AM Cup, is sitting at 18th at the moment. And look, he's not been the fastest of the AM Cup drivers throughout this season, but what he has been is super consistent. Not featuring in the top 5, top 10, anything like that, but has been completing races week in, week out, and making sure that he does take home a good number of points. And it really shows for that AM Cup trophy what it takes. It doesn't have to be the fastest on track by any stretch. It can absolutely just be the consistency that gets you there. That said, halfway through, anything can happen, and often does. Let's take a look at the grid for race number 1, and James Scott and Matt Bowler will line up alongside each other on the front row, with Hayden Veld rounding out the Eclipse Sim Sports trio at the front. Ben Morris from Faithful Motorsport on row 2 with him. Then James Chastain and Brett Loxton ahead of Paul Young and Jamie Dyke, with Thomas Hinz and Ryan Nielsen rounding out the top 10. Good to see Jamie Dyke actually putting in a decent qualifying time here. It's often that we've seen him not actually put in a time at all and have to fight his way through, but none of that tonight for the Fishy Motorsports entry. We'll take a look a bit further back. Ryan Palmer and Dane Snadden just missing out on a top 10 ahead of James Doyle and Sam Cullen. Then Dean Power and Josh Harris line up ahead of Liam Jensen and Simon Caplet. Row 10 is Brad Grant and Chris Croat. Behind them, Adrian Gresham, Ronald Long, then Matt McKeer and Jake Rebellion ahead of Scott Watts and Tristan McLaren, with Sebastian Vardell, the last driver on track, and did not set a time, so won't be going further forward than that. Hopefully he's going to get onto the grid though. Nathan Allen, Ian Ward and Isaac Edwards, the gents up in race control this evening. Hopefully we're not going to need them, but as I said, one of those tracks where I always feel like it's pretty likely here. It's the cup layout just encourages drivers to push it that little bit harder.
Yeah, look, that's right, and the lack of track limits, we should say, really does, as you said, encourage drivers to really push these cars, especially when they're in clean air or trying to battle, maybe go around the outside, and that can leave you vulnerable to making a mistake. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this run through turn 1 and even down to the bus stop for the first time at these race starts, because it is going to be some very intense racing. I really don't want to jinx it and have it all be sort of a procession now, but I really don't feel like it will be. It never usually is at Watkins Glen. So if it is a procession, you can all blame me, and I'll put my hand up and apologise for that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the exciting and spicy racing we're going to get in this first lap especially.
I don't think there's any hope of this being a processional sort of race. There's a lot of opportunities here for supercars, even on this cup layout, to really jam a move up the inside, and I suspect we'll see that through turn 1, probably through the bus stop as well, and then the last couple of turns on this circuit layout do lend themselves to some pretty heavy door banging action. So plenty on the way. The Too Fast, Too Tasty Mission Porsche, always a nice little feature to catch. This is what I love about iRacing. There's so many of those little signs that have been put in there that you actually don't see when you're out on track, but they are still all floating around. So just a quick shout out to Mission. If they want to give us any sponsorship, we'll gladly feature that more often. Head down to the track, and the drivers just finishing getting onto the grid. It is a reasonably sized grid here tonight. 27 cars on track to get us underway. We are just about to get the green flag at the back of this field. The lights are up. We're under starters orders. We will wait to go green here at Watkins Glen. 22 laps lie ahead of us, and we are off and racing for race number 1 here at Watkins Glen tonight. And already drivers starting to make the move up the inside as early as they possibly can. As we come down towards turn 1 for the first time, we're still 2 and 3 wide right through as the drivers try and negotiate just a little bit of extra track space here. Scott out in front, Bowler hanging on to second, but the action right now is Ben Morris and James Chastain side by side. They've gotten it sorted out, and Hayden Veld slots in behind them as we start to get into a racing line pretty early on. It's looked like a reasonably sedate start so far, but of course the first time through the bus stop, always interesting. It looks as though most of these drivers are going to just take it a little bit easy. They're looking to get to the end of this one. Scott and Bella out in front. Bella, Bowler, either way. Sorry, Matt, we'll just take our best guess at that until you correct us. But they are starting to make a bit of a move. It's 1.4 seconds already in this very, very early stage of the race. And a little bit of a move now looks to be on as Ben Morris takes a look up the inside, but can't stop Hayden Veld. And James Chastanoff will just watch that happening in the rear view and enjoy a little bit of breathing room for just a moment before I'm sure Veld will be all over him again as we finish off the first lap. And it's actually been fairly clean. Can't argue with that.
I'll put my hand up. That was me. Sorry, guys. I jinxed it. But no, it was a good start. And look, Hayden Veld got his ears boxed a little bit off the start line, but he's found his way back past Ben Morris, and I'm sure he'll set up James Chastanoff. This is James Chastanoff's teammate, on screen Ryan Nielsen, battling away with Thomas Hinz at the moment. This is the back end of the top 10. So this is a group led by Nielsen. Then you've got Hinz, Loxton, Jamie Doyle, and a bunch of other cars in there as well. Cullen all the way down to the back of the field, essentially, really, is this group. Oh, side by side through the bus stop. This is a very bold spot to go side by side, too wide, and they have to sort it out. They do. Plenty of room left by both of them. Hinz is going to try and hang around the outside through the top of the boot as they cut back along the shortcut to the final sequence of corners. They cut out the bottom part of the boot here for the cut layout. We just cut along this little chute and back towards the final couple of corners. Now it's still side by side. They need to sort this out very, very soon. Brett Loxton now likes to fancy himself a little bit of a part of this. Still on the outside of Ryan Nielsen is Thomas Hinz. They have not sorted this out. You've got cars around in the background. Massive incident. That looks like Simon Caplet has gone around at the final corner, and a massive damage to the AM Cup Championship lead. We've got multiple cars involved. That is Brad Grant on our screen, and the Simon Caplet, oh dear, a lot of damage. That's Varndell. Sebastian Varndell with major damage as well. Meatball flag for him and Simon Caplet. Brad Grant looks to have gotten away with it, but that is a huge incident. We could see a safety car here.
Yeah, keeping an eye on it. We're not seeing it called just yet. Hopefully those guys can get rolling and make their way into the pits. They are thankfully at a spot where they might be able to just sneak back there, but I suspect they might have actually ended up past the wall. No, we are indeed getting the call. The safety car is being pulled out. So we will be behind the safety car, and we'll get a chance to go back and take a look at what's happened there.
It was a massive incident, wasn't it, between those drivers? I think the track might be clear as we come around the final corner. They've tried to get it back to the pits, and they have. So the track is clear as the drivers roll through. I'm just looking if there's any cars stopped on circuit, and there isn't, which is good. This is a replay. So this is what happened. Oh, very loose for Simon Caplet, all on his own. Massive contact with the wall, and then absolute passenger for Brad Grant and Sebastian Varndell. Nowhere for them to go in that situation. That is a heavy impact with the wall. Look at Brad Grant, just really was nothing he could do to avoid that more, and I think they've done very well not to collect anybody else with them. Everyone around them has done a great job, but that's a huge impact. And just a snap of oversteer. Oh, look at Sebastian Varndell, and a snap of oversteer for Simon Caplet into that final corner, and that has really just been the catalyst for such a heavy impact.
Yeah, and that's just the way it goes on that exit. You can clip that inside curb, and if it's just, if you're pushing the tyres to 10/10 out of that one, you're really leaving yourself no room to try and recover it if it does step out on you. And as a result, Simon Caplet, unfortunately, that's probably our fault for talking about how clean his racing's been and how consistent he's been. I think that's
commentator's
probably,
curse.
Yeah, it's probably us, mate, isn't it?
I'm very sorry, Simon Caplet. We never want to curse anybody. Unfortunately, sometimes it does come with the territory, doesn't it? But hopefully it looks like he's getting back out there now, albeit a lap down, but he'll get back out there, he'll get finished, and hopefully get some points. And let's look at that huge impact. And yeah, Brad Grant, nowhere to go, really. And Sebastian Varndell did everything he could to avoid a spinning Brad Grant, who was not able to control that car at all. But Sebastian Varndell, unfortunately, just picked the wrong direction. He had a 50-50 chance, and unfortunately he went the wrong way and found himself caught up in it as well.
I don't know if he would have gotten away with that ever, honestly. It's one of those corners where, and you can see from this shot here, right, you really don't have visibility around that turn. And at full race pace, you're just not going to have any option to back off and choose a different line. You come through this apex here, and when you come around the corner, you see there's a car in front of you sideways on the exit of that turn. You're already at the limit of what your tyres can handle through there. It's pretty unlikely that anyone's going to be able to get out of the way. Vandel did a great job to try and avoid it. But yeah, I think that was probably a fairly inevitable result. When Caplet did go around, there's always going to be at least one other car collected there. Not surprisingly though, where I'd predicted it to happen for the first time.
No, I think we were definitely thinking this little jut out here was going to bring someone undone side by side at some stage, but it seems to be that final corner, which I think gets overlooked in terms of that it can create incidents, because if you do have a moment there or someone gets stuck in the wall, it's such a narrow piece of track in terms of the racing line that you take, that it's going to catch out a few drivers if someone like Simon Caplet, like the incident he had there, does happen. So I think it's actually really good that there was only so little cars involved, because that could have been a lot worse for a lot more drivers if Simon Caplet had gone a little bit further across the track.
Yeah, it absolutely could have, and I think, you know, I would hazard a guess, at least. I don't know for certain, but I would hazard a guess that the minute that incident happened, race control was immediately on the radio to let drivers know that there was an incident on the exit of that turn. And they're pretty much on the ball all the time. I can say from experience, having raced within some MC events before, the guys in race control do a fantastic job of keeping drivers informed on track, and that often prevents that from turning, you know, from 2 or 3 cars being caught up to the entire back half of the field caught up in it. And that's the amazing job that race control do is you know, making sure that the field is aware as soon as something does happen. They're so alert up there. And speaking of race control, they're informing us the safety car is in this lap, so we're going to get a restart this time by Jared Cole, and there's still plenty of laps left in this one, but the field a little bit closer once again. Yeah, they are, and you know, James Scott and Matt Bowler both have had that lead really stripped away from them. They were opening up to a couple of seconds there, but they're going to have to rebuild that now. Thankfully, they've still got plenty of time to do that. Another 17 or so laps to go here. The question is, what is James Scott going to do off the front to Eclipse Sim Sports? Drivers have an opportunity here to be chatting about what the strategy is for the restart, but you'd have to think that he's going to make a jump at this pretty much straight out of the apex here, surely. Let's find out what he's going to do. He's still holding the field at bay. They've not gone yet, and everyone's trying to get a little bit of an overlap going, and finally he finds the go pedal, and we are away. We are back under green flag conditions, and look at the gap that he's created to Bowler. Already half a second between first and second as we run down for restart number 1. Look at how wide everybody is getting on the exit of turn 1. We've got cars side by side. Ryan Palmer very close to where that wall juts out. We almost saw someone end up in there as everybody fights for a piece of real estate, running up the hill towards the bus stop. It is only 6 laps gone in this 22-lap race. Plenty of time left to go, and it seems to be, at this stage, Jared, a very, very sedated restart. Everybody giving each other plenty of room. I think Ryan Palmer getting close to that wall was as wild as it got. For now, at least, it's one of those tracks, right, where you don't really have a massive opportunity to make early moves on a restart because you're already rolling, and the track is a fairly high-paced one. Really, you're just trying to stick in behind and make the most of what little slipstream you can gather from the back of a Gen 3 car. And yeah, I don't think anyone was really anticipating that jump. It even looks like Scott's left his teammate behind at this point as Bowler continues to struggle to reel him in. In the background, Chatsnoff and Hayden Feld, though, absolutely stuck together. I don't know if at some point there's been a bit of glue put between those 2 cars or something like that, but there's nothing to separate these 2 at the moment, and that's dangerous. Especially for Chatsnoff. You know, Hayden Feld is quick and he's pretty switched on, but when you get 2 cars in this sort of close proximity where you've got such heavy braking zones like into the bus stop here, it can all come undone. Veld goes very, very deep into the bus stop, goes on through. Chastity just lets him on through. I think probably the safest move, and he'll be able to just slot in behind and pretty much carry on the same kind of approach, I would hope.
Yeah, and that's right. James Chastain, look, he can battle for the position, and obviously we'd love to see him get side by side and try and keep alongside him through that bus stop, but he has to think about as well being the championship leader, wanting to do everything he can to protect that championship lead, and while losing a spot to Hayden Veld may not be great for getting the most amount of points that he can, going side by side with Hayden Veld, having a major incident, ending up at the back of the field is much worse. So he's trying to do all he can to just stay out of as much trouble as possible, but race as hard as he can. So that's very smart driving. James Chastain, he'll stay with Hayden Veld, I'm sure, and keep up with him, and hopefully maybe try and have another move, have another go to get back up into the podium places before this race is over. We've got side-by-side action on the exit out of 1 into 2, and that is Dane Snutt and Josh Harris. And then we've got Dean Powell and Liam Jensen in behind as well. So there's a little bit going on here with this little group down 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th. You can see the battle box on your screen in the bottom right-hand corner. And Dane Snutt, he was right onto the rear wing of Josh Harris. He's dropped back a little bit now and is feeling the pressure from Dean Powell.
Slowdown, which is...
Oh, he has, you're right. That'll help.
Honestly impressive around a cup layout here at Watkins Glen. I don't know where you pick up a slowdown, but Snadden seems to have found the only spot on this track that will actually issue you with one, I reckon.
And now it's going to leave Dean Powell to move up the inside. So he's done well to clear that with as minimal effect as possible. He was able to hold up Dean Powell and Liam Jensen for as long as possible. He may actually hold on to this position here. He does park it in front of Dean Powell. He looked for the switchback, and now that's going to leave Dean to worry about Liam Jensen on the run towards turn 1 now. So that's smart driving from Dane Snutt, and position the car in the right spot just to shut the door on a potential switchback. And now he is set himself up so that Liam Jensen is the problem of Dean Powell, not Dean Powell the problem of Dane Snutt. And this battle is going to go on up the hill. Oh, tries to swipe across the nose, and he's just cleared in front. That could have been disastrous almost for these two drivers. Someone would have ended up in the fence, but they've done well. And Dane Snutt and Dean Powell, they'll hold on to their respective spots for now. It is heating up, though, at the back of the field.
It absolutely is, and we're keeping a close eye on what's happening out in front, but right now it's Clip Sim Sports 1, 2, 3 still. I'm just keeping an eye on Sebastian Vandel. Qualified at the back of the field, got caught, well, didn't qualify rather, started at the back of the field, got caught up in that incident with Simon Caplet, has got the car repaired, back out on track, and is already back up to 18th. He's up 9 positions from where he started, and is absolutely carving through this field. We've seen him do it before. He's absolutely very talented behind the wheel of a Gen 3 supercar, this young man, and lots of pace. You see him just walk past Liam Jensen like he's not even there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pace, Sebastian Vandel, and that just, it goes to show what he could have done in this race without that incident earlier on. But he's going to put it to good effect now, try and get himself as far up the field as he possibly can, and continue to move forward. This is side by side. This is Ryan Nielsen defending from Sam Cullen, who looks to sweep around the outside, potentially into the bus stop. More side by side action, a lot of curb usage for Sam Cullen, and then he's going to now have a compromise role. He's got to slow down. That's from the I'd say the inside curb there.
Yep.
Yeah, the bus stop, the inside curb of that bus stop. He's taken too much curb. He's done well not to lose the car there the way it was bouncing, and as a result has found himself in slowdown, so he's lost a spot to Doyle.
It's one of the few places where they will actually pin you for that, is if you try and cut too much out of that bus stop. Most of the cup layout here at Watkins, at the very least, is so forgiving. It's utterly ridiculous, honestly, just how much you can go outside of the standard track lines that you see. Those solid white lines around the outside of the track, usually a pretty good indicator of where you have to keep the car in between. It's certainly not the case for the NASCAR layout here at Watkins. You can pretty well ignore those for just about the entirety of the track, but that bus stop will get you every single time.
Yeah, it'll catch you out, that's for sure, whether it's a slowdown or a curb to unsettle that car. There is something that will catch these drivers out if they're not careful. And you're trying to maximise the speed through here by essentially making it as straight as possible. So you turn in early, try and straight line the first curb, and then minimise the amount of times you have to rotate that wheel, and that can leave you vulnerable to getting the slowdown penalty. And we see on our screen now This is, we've got to slow down for Gresh as well. So there's another one that looks to have fallen victim potentially to that bus stop. Sam Cullen up the inside, battling with James Doyle, who's actually on the outside. And James Doyle now moves to the outside for the final corner. And the Quail Cartel car looks for the switchback, but better exit for Sam Cullen. He should hold on to this.
Cullen's getting just attacked over and over and over again here. And he'll be thankful for a bit of a breather if he can break away from Doyle. And if not, and if Doyle does get through, like that was Tristan McLaren actually just coming out of the pits and pulled over to let the traffic come through, which is not a bad idea considering how much is about to stream past him. But yeah, if Sam Cullen can't break away here, he'll probably appreciate the bit of a gap they've got behind them to Josh Harris, and give him just a little bit of room to reset and regather his thoughts before he attacks the second half of this race and tries to catch back up to the front. Sebastian Vandel closing in on this. He's up to 16th now, so that's up 11 spots. So he continues to move on through, and he's actually caught right up to Josh Harris, who's in that group just a little further back from the one we were just watching. Out in front, though, James Scott, Matt Bowler, and Hayden Veld, the three Eclipse Sim Sports cars just working together absolutely beautifully at the moment. Chastity's almost 2 seconds. He's just gone over 2 seconds behind now. So there goes Vandel as we look at that as well. Who's picked up another spot, although Harris is going to try and reverse this on the way back through. They're going to be side by side down the front straight. If Harris can get the power down, big wiggle on the way out, can't quite get it to the ground, and he'll have to drop back in behind and now try and keep Liam Jensen at bay if he can.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can to try and hold on to positions, but Sebastian Vandel, he's got a lot of pace. He's one of the quickest cars on track. The quickest car on the circuit at the moment actually is Hayden Veld. So he has the fastest lap of the race to his name, 1 minute 10.5, and he just did a 1 minute 11 flat on the previous lap. So he is really doing everything he can to stay with these front two and maybe look for an overtake, throw team rules out the window before this race is over. We've got Ben Morris defending Paul Young and Jamie Dyke. Ryan Palmer also not too far off the back of this group as well. So the last spot in the top 5 well and truly up for grabs. We've got 8 laps to go when they cross the start-finish line. And there is plenty of time for these guys to try and settle this before the end of the race, I am sure. Or Thomas Hinds in the background as well, defending from Brett Loxton. I believe those two are teammates. If I look at my data, they are just slightly different team names. So they are teammates. So the teammates battling away, and I believe Brett Loxton's now got that spot from Thomas Hinds and is up into 9th place. So these guys also will want to look to join the back of this battle pack, and we could have 6 cars in the battle for 5th spot.
Not to mention the fact that across this group, Brett Loxton and Thomas Hinds will be set to start on the front row with the reverse top 10 if they maintain their current positions. So look, it's not an awful spot for the Jinx Shifters guys to find themselves. They've got a bit of work to do to try and just catch up to the back of Ryan Palmer ahead and join in on that action. But they've also got a nice buffer to Ryan Nielsen behind and Sam Cullen as well. James Doyle still with this group, and 11th, 12th and 13th. They're a fair way off the back, and it's going to take a big effort for these guys to be challenging. As you see, James Doyle slides that car on the way out of the long right-hander, manages to get it straightened back up, and he'll stay with them. But really, he's finding it difficult to stay with Nielsen and Cullen now, and not too surprising. Together, where are the ADHD cars currently sitting? Ryan Palmer is sitting in 8th at the moment. Josh Harris finds himself in 16th. So a bit of separation between the two. We will no doubt see them pop up on screen again shortly. There you go. There's Ryan Palmer just at the back of this group. Ben Morris in 5th leads Paul Young and Jamie Dyke. Ryan Palmer's just been hovering at the back end of this group for the last few laps. Just waiting to see what happens. Doesn't want to get too caught up in it. He's quite happy to let Jamie Dyke try and break up this Faithful Motorsport pairing if possible. And here goes Dyke now, has a big look up the inside before the entry to the bus stop. Can't quite get there. Just to back out of that one. And that's actually allowed Palmer to catch up just a little further. We might have a bit of a battle on our hands for 7th.
Yeah, this is really starting to shape up a little bit now between these guys, and we've got that's sort of 3 or 4 cars you can throw a blanket over almost, and this is Hayden Veld and Matt Bowler battling away. So the Eclipse Sim Sport, this will be great for James Scott, who will get a little bit of breathing room while these two try to settle this score for 2nd place on the road. Hayden Veld fancies a look. He's pulled to the inside. On the run towards turn one. He's going to be later on the brakes. Draw alongside his teammate. And they're still side by side. He's going to run him out as wide as he possibly can. Leaves him room and swipes back across in front. That is a lovely overtake for Hayden Veld. I sense it's not quite done yet. Bowler has the opportunity now in the draft to try and make something happen at the bus stop chicane up here, but Hayden Veld, you have to feel momentum maybe on his side and he can hold on. He does think about a Matt Bowler, but he's not close enough on this occasion, and Hayden Veld, a lovely overtake for second. He's lost a little bit of time to his teammate in front, but he now gets himself up in the second spot.
I'm honestly surprised to see the Eclipse Sports guys battling that hard. We think back to, where was it, Hockenheim Ring, where the two that we were just watching, Veld and Bowler, they came together and took themselves out of the lead. That was a really, really high-risk move from Veld, but he clearly wanted P2 here tonight for race one, so he's going to push on, and thankfully, nothing came of it, but yeah, I don't know how comfortable I would be about that. Josh Harris now trying to hold off Liam Jensen for 16th. Managing to stay ahead just for a moment. Sebastian Vandel just ahead. He's up 12 spots now into 15th, so he'll be starting mid-pack for race number 2, you would think.
Yeah, I would think that there's going to be a mid-pack start for him, but that's not a bad thing, I would suggest, as he goes past Dane Snadden and gets that done on the braking zone into turn one. This is not a bad thing for him. He's got a lot of pace in this car. And there is an opportunity here for him to really make something happen in race 2 coming up. It's double the length, 44 laps coming your way in very shortly, not long after the conclusion of this race. Actually, we'll get underway for race number 2 of the evening, so there's going to be no shortage of action for the next little while. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do with the pack closed up, a fresh race start, and just how far forward he can get. And I have no doubt he'll be in the top 10 by the end of this race, but how far forward into the top 10, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and look, as we think ahead to race number 2, that's where my mind's starting to wander to at the moment. I'm thinking strategy at this point, and watching how this one's unfolding across 22 laps. I'm thinking that the undercut on that pit stop is going to be a pretty strong option for a lot of these drivers. We're seeing plenty of drivers getting really, really close in behind the car ahead, but finding it just a little difficult to manufacture a pass anywhere. There's a couple of moments here that we've seen where drivers have managed to charge on through, and notably Veld going through so hard out of turn 1 on Bowler. But I actually think that a lot of these drivers are probably going to be well served to think about really going after that undercut. You know, go and split that second race in half, do 22 laps, and then follow it up with another 22, rather than trying to get through the full 25. Now that said, the tyres will be the question. This is all fairly high-load, high-speed cornering here at Watkins Glen. It's pretty much a combination that Gen 3 supercars absolutely don't love. So I do wonder whether 2 lots of 22 laps is preferable for these drivers in race 2, or if some of them do want to extend it out just so they can go a little bit harder in that second stint, not have to worry quite so much about the tyre life over the same distance again.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the challenge for these guys. What do they do in terms of strategy? Again, if you, as you said, if you push it longer, you'll have the benefit of the tyres at the end of that race, but you'll have to sort of wear the consequence of waiting to spend a little bit more time on those tyres. We're going to a little bit loose in the background for James Doyle by the looks of it. A bit taily on the exit, and Sam Cullen finds his way back past Ryan Nielsen. He stayed for a tighter line on the exit of 1, and Nielsen found himself very, very wide, and I think just didn't have the momentum going up the hill, and that's crucial. Going up through this spot, you're going to hear us talk a lot about it tonight, I think, Jared Cole, but momentum out of 1 up the hill towards 2, 3 and the bus stop is really going to be crucial for getting moves done, but making them stick as well.
Yeah, and Watkins Glen is one of those tracks, right, where you've got to get that momentum early because you carry it over such a long distance from turn 1 all the way through the bus stop. There's a lot of track there and a lot of time for that, 10th of a second that you might trim off. Big move there up the inside for Nielsen. James Doyle immediately reverses it. They're going to be side by side again out of the final turn. And Nielsen, look, has the inside run here. He'll be setting up for turn 1. Tries to get the power down a little too early. Gets a little bit of a wiggle. And that's going to be all that James Doyle needs to keep his nose in front for now. But look for that side draft. Ryan Nielsen will be pushing as much air as he can onto that rear spoiler just to reduce that top speed by a couple of K an hour. Gets across, shuts the door. Big slide though. Gets the power down way too hard, way too early. And James Doyle's right back into it and gets himself back in front.
Sorry, this is a lovely piece of racing. I went to speak and my lungs decided that was not the time to speak, but this is a lovely piece of racing between these two. It's far from over. James Doyle, Ryan Nielsen, again has a think about it on the run towards the bus stop, but nothing doing on this occasion. Didn't quite have the speed under the slipstream to get that overtake completed, but again, this is a lovely sequence of racing between these two. Liam Jensen with a slowdown. That will be, came through the bus stop not too long ago, so that'll be as a result of a little bit too much curb use at the bus stop. We've seen that a couple of times. That's pretty much the only spot, I believe, Jared Cole, where anyone's getting a slowdown is through the bus stop. So that seems to be the only sticking point for the iRacing stewards here is if you use too much curb there, they don't like. If you use too much curb anywhere else, they don't mind. Go as wide as you want, but that bus stop, slightly too much curb, they'll give you a slowdown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we did see some sort of slowdown picked up somewhere else, but I can't tell you where it was. Right? And maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was just a bit of off timing for when I saw it. But I thought that Dane Stanton's slowdown earlier might not have actually been the bus stop, but I can't think where else it would have been. It's about the only place you'll find an ability to go off track enough that, and this layout, anyone even cares, honestly. So yeah, the bus stop absolutely proving to be the issue at the moment. Brad Grant finds himself all the way down in 23rd after getting unfortunately pinned early on, with Simon Caplet bouncing back across the track in front of him. Not a bad bit of recovery driving. He's only down 4 from where he started. The biggest recovery drive, of course, Sebastian Varndell, up 13 into 14th place at the moment. Will we see him feature at the end of race 2, I wonder, as we get on to the final lap now? James Scott, Hayden Veld, Matt Bowler all coming across the line. The rest of the field following not a long way behind them, but certainly not close. Chastity's out to almost 6 seconds now. The Eclipse Motorsports guys just monstering this one here tonight.
Yeah, they are really just on a charge, showing them how it's done this evening, aren't they? And Hayden Veld, he wants to have a little bit of a run at this, but I don't think he's going to have enough time or track really to get this done. A little bit sideways coming out of the bus stop, but James Scott really has just put on a little bit of a clinic in this first race. He led from the lights out. He was on pole. He led from lights out all the way to the checkered flag. He really just jumped him on the restart as well for the safety car. He was off in the distance in no time. So he's done really well today, and it's really measured drive from James Scott.
Yeah, it absolutely has been. Here come the 3 Eclipse Motorsports cars out of the final turn for the final time, all the way out to the wall, and they'll come across the line. 1, 2, 3, 4 Eclipse Motorsports, and look at the gap back to James Chastain in 4th, 6.2 seconds. It feels like a lifetime here at Watkins.
It's such a long time, isn't it? Across the line, and yeah, Thomas Hinds gets Brett Loxton in the end. So Brett Loxton and Thomas Hinds will have Team Jinx shifters on pole, first and second, front row lockout for them. Coming up in race 2, not too far away, Liam Jensen home in 18th, and here comes a little bit more of a gap to Rebellion, Jake Rebellion in 19th. Chris Croat rounding out that top 20, and then Matt Pakir. But all the cars getting over the line in this one, which is great. Only 2 cars a lap down. Simon Caplet with that massive incident earlier, and Tristan McLaren as well, also a lap down.
Great drive from the Eclipse Sports cars. James Scott leading it pretty well the entire race, honestly. What will be interesting, of course, race 2 is to see the 3 of them fight through from the back of the top 10. Realistically, not a lot of movement as we see Hayden Veld doing his very best to drift this through. He's
look at him go.
He's definitely been putting in the practice lately to try and get the drifting sorted all the way through that closing lap. As we get our first race results coming through now, this is how it finished up for race number 1 here at Watkins Glen. 22 laps, James Scott the winner ahead of Hayden Veld and Matt Bowler. Cliff Simsports dominating the podium here this evening. Will it continue in race 2? We'll see. James Chastain in 4th, a long way back. Then Ben Morris and Paul Young from Phase 4 Motorsport. Jamie Dyke from Fishy, pretty quiet actually. He had some good moves in there, just stuck with it though, and a 7th place you'll not be too unhappy with, I imagine. Ryan Palmer finishing up in 8th, Thomas Hinds and Brett Loxton rounding out the top 10, then Sam Cullen and James Doyle ahead of Nielsen and Van Dell up to 14th after that early incident. Dane Stone and Josh Harris behind him, with Dean Pound, Liam Jensen behind those guys. Jake Rebellion and Chris Croat round out your top 20 for race 1. Outside of the top 20, Matt McKeer, Adrian Gresh, Brad Grant and Ronald Long all finishing relatively closely packed at the back end. Scott Watts, the last driver to finish on the lead lap, with Simon Couplet and Tristan McLaren finishing a lap down. Honestly, a pretty good recovery from a few of those drivers caught up fairly early on. Brad Grant clawed back a couple of extra spots. It's not a bad way to come back from a very, very early crash.
No, indeed. It's a good comeback from Brad Grant. Sebastian Vandal, looking forward to seeing what he can do in race 2. Obviously, drivers have a little bit of time to chill out now and reset themselves. We've got a small amount of time. I'm noticing on our little track map, race control and the safety cars have decided to go out and get some practice laps in. So maybe they feel like something's going to happen in race 2 coming up. They're getting the practice laps in.
Well, why not? Honestly, it's pretty frowned upon to take the safety car out for fun during a race. So you may as well use the warm-up session in between. We're going to use that warm-up session ourselves to just pop a quick word in from our sponsors as always. So, folks, we'll leave you with it for just a moment. We will be right back with coverage of race 2 here at Watkins Glen for the MC Domains2U MCV8 series with MC Motorsport and, of course, Simple Racing Broadcast. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Simple Racing Broadcast for Monday Night Racing, the MC Motorsport Domains2U MCV8 Series, Round 6 here at Watkins Glen. And Isaac, those clouds continue to threaten. I'm just taking a little bit of a poke around in the background, and I can tell you that there is a bit of a front on the way. I'm seeing some rain coming through on the radar, and it's not patchy. It's actually looking like a fair amount, and I would suggest that we're going to see wet tyres for race number 2.
That is music to my ears.
Because
Jared
Watkins
Cole.
Glen was not crazy enough at the pace they're doing. Yeah, let's see what happens when you take away the traction.
I often look at Watkins Glen and think, you know what this track is missing? It's missing action. And you know what brings action? Wet weather. Anything can happen. And oh boy, I am very excited about the fact that we will have, it looks like, a wet race on our hands, potentially. It's very overcast, and I think the chance of rain is very, very high at some point in this race. If not, by the time we do go racing, it's going to rain at some point, and that's going to play strategy.
Yeah, I'll see if I can still bring this up. Let's see if I can still bring the radar up here. There we go. That's absolutely some water on the way there, guys. It's not a lot. That's a bit wet. There is a definite front of at least a sprinkle, and that's almost more dangerous because if that leaves the track damp at the start of the next race, but we don't actually see full-on rain, we're going to have drivers chancing it on dry tyres for the start of race 2, and it's going to be a mixed bag. It really, really is, and I'm not quite sure just how tidy that start's going to be.
Oh, well, anyone that watched the supercars at the weekend on Sydney Motorsport Park would have seen on the Sunday it rained there. Most of the drivers elected to stay on dry tyres, and it provided some absolute cracker racing. So if drivers elect here to go on dry tyres and we're on a slightly damp track or just a surface that is struggling a little bit for grip under dries, it's going to provide some amazing action. Let's have a look at our grid. For the reverse top 10 race number 2, it is Brett Loxton on pole with Thomas Hinz sharing the front row, so Jinx Shifters locking out the front row. Then Ryan Palmer and Jamie Dyke on row number 2. Paul Young, Ben Morris, 5th and 6th, row number 3. Then James Chatsnow, our championship leader, and Matt Bowler on row number 4 with Hayden Veld and James Scott in 9th and 10th. So Eclipse Sim Sports coming off the back of the top 10 for this one. Sam Cohen and James Doyle just outside that top 10, unlucky to miss out. They'll have to start from 11th and 12th in this one. Then Ryan Nielsen, Sebastian Varndell, row number 7. Dane Snudden and Josh Harris back in 15th and 16th. Dean Powell, Liam Jensen, Jack Rebellion and Chris Croat rounds out the top 20 for this one. Looking a little bit further afield as well, Matt Bakir and Adrian Gresh in 21st and 22nd, row number 11 there. Row number 12 belongs to Brad Grant and Ronald Long, and then Scott Watts, Simon Caplet and Tristan McLaren at the back of this field. Looking forward though, Jared, I'll say, to see what Simon Caplet, Brad Grant and Sebastian Varndell can do in this one.
Yeah, look, I think Varndell's made his way halfway through the field already. You'd have to expect that he's going to continue to push on. But we saw this, was it round 5? I think we saw pretty similar from Varndell, where he came through to the mid-pack in race 1 and then found himself almost hitting a bit of a wall in race 2 as he got to the higher pace at the front end of the field, and just did start to slow down on his ability to move through. I think he's still probably got a couple of positions that he might pick up here, but I can't suggest that we'll see the same kind of approach coming through in race 2, I imagine. Let's go down to the track and get ready to go racing once again. Track honestly looking reasonably dry at the moment, which is disappointing. But
I'm sad.
But I will tell you that rain is still on its way, and I think we're probably about, I'm going to hazard a guess at maybe 20-30 minutes away from seeing some rain start to fall.
Exciting.
As we get underway for race number 2, and immediately Ryan Palmer, as always, gets a huge jump off the start, and he starts to move up through the field and gets straight out in front of the two Team Jinx Shifters cars. He doesn't want to get held up by this at all. And Brett Loxton and Thomas Hinz immediately find themselves in 2nd and 3rd off that front row. So Ryan Palmer wasting absolutely no time as he makes his way through. The rest of the field starting to settle in now, and we start our way towards the bus stop, where it's still side by side. It looks like Dane Snadden out wide. He's found himself offline here, but he'll be well set up. Palmer just trying to defend already, and you can see a number of these drivers trying to set up moves on lap 1 on the way in here to the bus stop. And it looks like we're going to get through cleanly for the moment. I'm honestly probably a little glad that we haven't seen the rain hit just yet, because the bus stop at that sort of pace on cold tyres, probably not exactly ideal.
Definitely not ideal at all. And Ryan Palmer, what a start he's gotten away to here, maximising these conditions. But Brett Loxton is putting so much pressure on the 80HG driver through the final corner. This is really shaping up, and side by side in the background was his teammate in Josh Harris as well. There he is, still side by side, Josh Harris with Ryan Nielsen. So there's another who's the I'm trying to find him on the leaderboard. There he is, Banter Alliance Racing, and they're side by side on the exit of turn 1. Squeezes in as Ryan Palmer holds onto the lead for now. Cars looking for every piece of real estate they can find on the exit of 1, pushing the track limits that aren't really track limits, because you can go as wide as you want there and not fall foul of the stewards. This is where the track limits will start to come in play. Through the bus stop now, you can see the Eclipse Sim Sports drivers working together to try and get past James Chastanel, and they do into, that is 6th and 7th place respectively for those two. James Scott being left behind in 9th place, so he's got a bit of work to do to catch back up to his teammates. But it is Ryan Palmer leading the way from Brett Loxton, from Thomas Hinz, from Paul Young, Jamie Dyke, Hayden Veld, Matt Bowler, James Chastanel, James Scott and Ben Morris, your 10.
We've got a very distinct separation in the groups here. The front 13 in this train, and then just behind them, Josh Harris leads what is effectively the rest of the field. He's gotten away to a bit more of a gap, as you see James Doyle, Liam Jensen, Ryan Nielsen all mixing it up out of that final corner. Ryan Palmer in front, one's at 111.268, a 111.174 for Veld, and 11.101 for Varndell in 13th. So some very, very quick times up the front of this field, and I can't help but think that these guys are watching the radar pretty closely. just to try and figure out when the rain's going to arrive and how that might shape their pit strategy.
Well, we're thinking half an hour. That's going to be about 30 laps into this race. So we're going to get into the back third of this race before we see too much rain. On the grass there for Jake Rebellion as he runs up the hill towards the bus stop. And he's feeling the pressure from Dean Powell at the moment. As you said, distinct groups starting to form. And there is that top 13 cars led by Ryan Palmer, then Josh Harris, the other ADHD car. A bit of a lock-up there, it looks like, for Jake Billy. Was there contact there, and Dean Power was redressing. So there must have been a small amount of contact there that looks like it was a bit of a lock-up smoke from... Oh, and across the front bumper, that's massive contact. That's Matt Bakir. And it turned across the front of Dean Power, and that's huge into the wall. And there's massive front-end damage. He's lost the front bar on that car, and it looks like he's also broken the right front steering, or the left front steering, I believe that is. And that is really devastating. A meatball flag for Matt Bakir. He's going to have to come into the lane and fix that. The good news is that car is rolling, so we should avoid a safety car, but a massive incident. And again, a spot you wouldn't normally pick incidents to occur.
Yeah, but look, honestly, I think Bakir was probably, from my initial look at that, I think he was probably a little ambitious in trying to put so much pressure immediately back onto, immediately back onto getting back across in front of Dean Power there. I think Power's held his line and rightly so. And I think, yeah, that's probably Matt Bakir turning himself across the front. But we'll go back and we'll take a look at it in a moment. There's a few moves happening here. Varndell's picked up another spot, so he's up 2. He's up into 12th. But he's going to really find this a much more difficult time, I think, moving through this front group. They're all still really packed in there. Have a look at them, all in shot as they come down the front straight. Out in front, Ryan Palmer still holding the lead. The question for me here is, what does Palmer do with his pit strategy? Does he actually look to continue to undercut this? Does he actually come in early from the front? And we're not talking now, of course. That's much too early. He's gonna need to get to probably at least lap 19 to be able to make it home on the tank of fuel. So these guys have still got another 10 laps before the pit window really opens here. But plenty of time to try and make something of it.
I think if you get to lap 20 and Brett Loxton behind you has not yet come in, I think you go for the undercut. However, if Brett Loxton does come in, you need to dive in the lap after, because the undercut around here is going to be powerful. So
100%.
As soon as Brett Loxton dives into that pit lane, Ryan Palmer should be looking to go the next lap. Ideally, he'll get the undercut on everybody, and he'll pit first, and everyone will either follow him, or they'll stay out for another lap, and they'll try and do the overcut, which probably won't work around here. But Ryan Palmer, he does not want to leave himself out there too long. So if someone behind him dives in, he needs to react straight away. He cannot afford to roll around and run his own race. He's now at the mercy of who's behind him.
Yeah, thankfully he's managed to find himself just a half second there or so over Loxton, which now puts all the pressure on Brett Loxton to both try and reel Palmer back in, but also keep that horde at bay. Look at the lineup of cars behind him. It's pretty significant, to say the least.
Just a massive line of cars, isn't it? All the way back still to Dane Snudden in 13th, with now Sam Cullen as they swap positions in 13th. So this is a very long queue of cars. Sebastian Varndell doing the best he can, but as he said, it's super hard to try and get an overtake through this group with everyone being so close together still. Look at this battle pack. Jamie Dyke looking to find a way past Paul Young, but in turn Paul Young's trying to look to find a way past Thomas Hinds in front. So it's not really any opportunity for someone to go for an overtake. If you try and go side by side with someone here, you're both going to cost each other momentum. You're going to lose out to the cars in front, and you're really going to be left to battle each other. And now, as Josh Harris loses out on a spot to James Doyle, and Liam Jensen shaping up a move, but a bit sideways through the final corner. That could leave him vulnerable to Ryan Nielsen. And there is rain. It is raining on circuit now, and this is a huge moment. How quickly is this rain going to wet the track? How heavy is the rain? What will the surface water be like over the next few laps? When do you come in for the wet tyres? This is the game everybody now has to play. Ryan Palmer, he is the pioneer. That's a word I hear used a lot when it comes to wet tyres and motorsport, but he is the first man to go anywhere on this circuit now with the wet weather, and he's got no one in front of him to break up any of the surface water that's going to fall on this track. He will now have to be the test subject, if you will, for what happens and who goes in first.
That said, it's reasonably light, and there doesn't look to be a huge amount of rain in that. It's moving through pretty quickly. You can see it's starting to clear as it approaches the track as well. I wonder if we're actually going to see enough out of this that anyone really needs to worry about the wet tyres. I think it's going to cause some issues for a little while. There's definitely going to be a little bit of water around, but I don't know if it's going to be heavy enough to play a major factor as we see Hayden Veld now looking to make the move and charge through Paul Young. He's going to get there. Can Matthew Bowler go with him, or is Paul Young going to get back into the line? He charges back across, shuts the door in front of Matt Bowler, and he'll hang on to that position for just a little bit longer. It's only a light drizzle at the moment. I don't think anyone's going to be too worried about it, but it does have a real potential to cause some issues as the drivers adjust to the ever so slightly different conditions. A little bit less traction available, and I suspect that the bus stop is probably going to be a little bit less of a good choice to really throw the car through aggressively.
Well, when it gets wet, the curbs are like ice, so the curbs are going to be the first thing that really come out of play for these drivers. As we see Hayden Veld up the inside on Thomas Hinds, gets that move done. And now Paul Young wanted to try and go with him, but Thomas Hinds was awake to it, very defensive, and now that's going to leave Paul Young vulnerable to Matt Bowler on the run towards turn one. And he is right in under the rear wing. Look at the spray being kicked up off the racing line. So there's a little bit of surface water starting to form now, and there is spray on the circuit. So if you're not the driver that is on the racing line, at this stage, you're going to be on a bit more of a slippery surface. Those curbs are going to start to get slippery as well. The bus stop is going to be an interesting one. The rain is getting heavier at the top of the hill here. You can see it on your screen. There is now a decent amount of surface water starting to form side by side in front. Trying to go defensive is Ryan Palmer. This is for the lead. You don't want to go side by side in these conditions. Ryan Palmer's going to run wide. He's got caught on the slippery surface. He manages to hold it to lead both Ryan Palmer and Brett Loxton with slowdowns. This could be gold for Hayden Veld. He could have the lead of this race by the time we get to the penultimate corner. Off the road is Paul Young with a meatball flag, so something has gone wrong for Paul Young. The lead of the race still up for grabs. Ryan Palmer holding on for now. Paul Young, what has happened? It's all going on. It looks like there's an engine smoking there for Paul Young, so something major has happened in the back of that car.
I wonder if it's just a downshift, and he's almost popped the motor, but not quite. Hayden Veld's going to make the move up the inside here, and Ryan Palmer's going to just stay very, very... Oh, Palmer has a big slide, just holds on to it. Brett Loxton gets back through. This is really actually going to be troubling for these guys, because there's still another, well, what do we say, 25 to 26 laps you'll get out of a tank here. So
yes.
You're still, what, 8 laps away from being able to come in, if my maths is any good at all. You're still 8 laps away from being able to come in. So these guys have to stay out there at the moment, or they have to look at a double stop strategy, and that just doesn't make any sense around such a short, fast track like Watkins Glen. So these guys are going to have to really just see it out on these slicks, and the more rain that falls, the more and more treacherous that becomes. I wonder if we're going to see anyone come in. In fact, we have seen Ryan Nielsen, Paul Young have both switched over to the wets, and just a sneaky look at the safety car. It's also sitting out there on groove tyres, so Nathan Allen expecting perhaps that this water's going to stick around for a little bit longer than maybe we were thinking.
And yeah, Ryan Palmer is struggling in these conditions. He's about to lose another spot to James Scott, and he does. And Thomas Hinds could go with him, fancies himself a look, but Ryan Palmer is not a fan of these conditions at the moment. He is not, as they would say, a duck to water, and is actually quite struggling in these conditions. Whereas the Eclipse Sim Sports drivers, are thriving in these conditions. They have gained a handful of spots over the last few laps, and now Thomas Hinds fancies himself a look on the run towards the bus stop. Again, not conditions you want to be going side by side through the bus stop. This could be messy if they're not careful. So much curb usage from Ryan Palmer. You can see how unsettling the curbs are now through the bus stop. They are losing lap time rapidly at the moment. 1:13s down the field. And they're doing everything they can to keep pace, but it's just not enough. Jamie Dyke now fancies himself a look at Ryan Palmer. It is going for bad to worse for the ADHD driver. He is not doing well in these conditions at all. He is struggling. Sebastian Varndell inside the top 10 now as well. The sun is back out, though. That is sunshine in the background, Jared Cole. Palmer is in.
So Palmer's going for the two-stop strategy here. That's either going to be a masterstroke or that's the end of Ryan Palmer's race. He's obviously struggling with conditions, and you can see, oh, there it is. There's the first bit of contact. Varndell and Shasti come together. James Chastanov gets away with it. Sebastian Varndell, he's actually bogged.
He's bogged
on the side of the road. That's going to be a safety car.
It has to be, which this could be an absolute masterstroke from Ryan Palmer. It is a safety car, so there we go. Sebastian Varndell cannot move. Ryan Palmer still in the lane on the wet tyres. He is back out now. He will lead this group of wet tyre. Sam Cullen, Josh Harris also electing to come in for wet tyres. This is going to be either, as you said, a masterstroke from Ryan Palmer, or it is going to bite him. What does everyone else do here now that there is a safety car? Do they dive in for wets? Is this the time to go for wet tyres? I think it is. Everyone's hugging the inside line and they're all in. There we go. Oh, what does this do for Ryan Palmer, though? Does he get it back out ahead of these guys? Does he jump them as the fact that he's now on wet tyres sooner? Where is he? There he is, coming through the bus stop now. I doubt he's going to get back out in front of these guys.
I don't know. It's a 48-second end-to-end stop. It's only a minute 11 to get round this track.
In dry conditions, they did minute 13s at the moment, so they're still in the pit lane. They are not yet rolling. Brett Loxton, I'm looking at the position on the screen. They haven't started rolling as of yet.
There's a couple on their way out. Veld's going to get out.
There is.
Loxton, Scott, Bowler.
They should all get out here ahead of Ryan Palmer.
Will.
Yeah,
Palmer's going to climb back up through the field, but yeah, he's not picked up as much as he probably would have liked to from that.
I think that's also the fact that we are under safety car conditions. He's at the mercy of the car in front of him. So I don't believe that the car in front in Ben Morris was really sending it too hard. I believe it's Ben Morris that's in front of him, or is it Matt Bakir? No, it is Ben Morris that's in front of him. And I don't believe he was going as fast as maybe Ryan Palmer would have liked. And as a result, James Chastanov, though, just noting, on dry tyres still. Thomas Hinds still on dry tyres. Brett Loxton still on dry tyres.
Yeah, I mean,
that's an interesting call.
Why not take a shot at it, right? It's I'm just going to take a look at the weather. We are very much in the middle of this rain. You may not be able to see it quite so well on screen at the moment. But we are right in the middle of this, coming across the track at the moment. So there's still a bit of water yet to fall. It's not a huge amount. It's fairly light, but it's obviously enough that these guys have gone to wets. I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. I think that the call here, particularly having a safety car, that does give a bit of an opportunity to run a few extra laps down here for Loxton, for Hinds, and for Shasti, staying on the dries. They only need to get to about lap 19, and they can really easily get home on a tank of fuel. If they can do this as a one-stopper, everyone else is going to have to do two. They don't have the fuel to make it home from here in the tank. It's trying to find an extra... Well, what is these guys? These guys will need about an extra probably 5 laps of fuel. Even if say, let's be generous, and they're only going to need an extra 4 laps of fuel than what they've probably got on board right now. You're not going to save 12 litres across the course of
No.
the stint. You're going to have to come back in for a splash at some point, and you know, time that with the dry tyre swap over as well. But the advantage here, really, and I actually think it's probably the right call. Behind the safety car, being on slicks is not going to be a massive deal. The rain's not particularly heavy, so the dry line should stay reasonably dry as the cars make their way around, even behind the safety car, but certainly over the next couple of laps. It's still going to have a relatively dry line. There's not going to be so much water falling that the track is going to get saturated here. I reckon Loxton, Hins, and James Chastain might be onto a winning ticket here. It will really depend on how long this rain does hang around. And it's not looking like it's going to stay for a great deal of time, although it keeps changing his mind. You can see, watch as we see this on the radar. There's a bit of a gap there that opens up and then closes again. We've definitely got probably at least the same length of time again, so maybe another 10 laps or so of wet weather. It's a knife-edge call at this point.
I just will say I find it interesting. I think it's a good strategy call to do something different for Brett Loxton, Thomas Hins, and James Chastain. But they all came into the pit lane at the same time. So they did too. I find it interesting that they came into the pits to serve a stop, but also stay on dry tyres. If you're going to stay on dries, it would make more sense to get track position and stay out. So I find that just really interesting. I think we're going to get a restart this time by. But
is this three drivers that have just made an error on the way into the pits and not swapped it over to the wets?
Selected the wrong tyres, which could be huge considering one of them is our championship leader.
Yeah, it's we've got a bit of a concertina in the background as everyone scatters side to side to try and get out of the way of each other. So Hayden Veld will lead us away here. Brett Loxton, well, the returning champion this season, and certainly in amongst it in the championship so far this season. Has he made a monumental error here, or is this actually calculated? I don't see it being anything other than an error. I'm not sure why, but I didn't actually notice that they had actually come into the lane. That's a really interesting call.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, but we have a restart, so we are green once again. The question will be, what is it like with the grip levels for Brett Loxton, James Chastain, and Thomas Hins? Everyone's scattering to find a little bit of water on the road to cool these tyres down. Brett Loxton trying to go around the outside of Hayden Veld up the hill. Thomas Hins is off the road, so that answers the question about what the dry tyre might be like. However, in contrast, Brett Loxton now leads this race. He has found a way past Hayden Veld, who's now battling with Matt Bowler, and leads this race, which is, I don't know, it's telling a tale of two stories. The dry tyre clearly not working for Thomas Hins, but it is working wonders for Brett Loxton at the moment.
Now this is really interesting because the crossover point generally, and it's a really broad indication, right? But what I always look for is you get the spray off the tyres first. That's not so bad. You can deal with slicks in that sort of weather. When you start to see spray coming out from the under tray of the car, from the diffuser at the rear, when you start to get that spray, that's usually a pretty good indication the track is wet enough to justify being on wet. And we are absolutely seeing that now as the rain continues to fall. Now, whether that carries on over the next lap or two as these guys start to establish this dry line will be very, very telling indeed. But keep your eye on Brett Loxton. And that's interesting. Chastain avoiding going out wide. He's looking to stay on the main part of the track. Maybe just looking for, I don't know, a slightly different line with a bit less rubber on it. Because, of course, the fast line, once you get a bit of water on it, is actually not so quick anymore. The other part to consider, in a straight line, the slicks are significantly faster. Better acceleration, better top speed, as long as you can keep it pointed in the right direction. You can see Loxton struggling with that at the moment. But when you consider how fast this track is, Watkins Glen is, especially this cup layout, it's actually a relatively high-speed track. There are some corners that are going to be a challenge, but for the long straights, maybe there's just enough in these slicks that Loxton can hold on to it. He's certainly trying anyway.
But again, at that point, I would have stayed out, taken the dry tyres with the temperature in them, because tyre temp is crucial, and you're definitely not going to get a lot of tyre temp driving on new dry tyres in wet conditions. So it's an interesting strategy call, and one that I'm sure we will be up for discussion on well after this. But I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this. This is Josh Harris battling away with Sam Cullen, trying to find a way past everyone else on wets. Thomas Hinn still committed to that dry tyre, down in 21st position now. So he's doing what he can to recover, but he's still on the dry tyre. Hasn't decided to come in for wets just yet. Maybe trying to get to the part where you can fill up and get home. About lap 19, we reckon, is the safe number where you can put enough fuel in to get to the end of this race. So they have to at least get to that number now, Brett Loxton, James Chassenalf and Thomas Hinns, and hopefully that's where they can get to. This is battle for the lead of the race. Hayden Veld may be pulling away a little bit here, and he is indeed pulling a little bit, pulling away a little bit here. Brett Loxton, Matt Bowler, James Scott, all over the back of him. Trying to go around the outside now, Matt Bowler. Oh, a little bit sideways. There's a bit of contact. Struggling for grip as Brett Loxton, and as a result, made some side-to-side contact with Matt Bowler when the rear end stepped down on him. That means that Matt Bowler's going to lose a spot to James Scott. Brett Loxton holds on for now. See how squirrely that car is on the run into turn one. He is fighting this thing to get it under control.
You know, look, trying to turn it around at this point, he's got to be regretting coming in. Now, granted, I think the decision point here for Loxton and for Chastanov, coming in to get a fresh set of dry tyres on. We know that these tyres are at their best in the first 2 or 3 laps. That's when you get your best times out of a dry tyre with the supercars. I think they were hoping to get maybe just that bit of extra grip was going to be enough to get them through here. At this point, I have to think that the best call for Loxton and for Chastanov, and to a lesser extent, probably Ryan Palmer and Matt Bakir are both on dries. So Palmer's actually come in last lap and he's put dries on. He's trying to go for a massive undercut here and try and get something out of it as the conditions start to swing back the other way, maybe. But the best thing that Loxton and Chastanov can be thinking about here is, right, we're on to lap 19, we can get home on a full tank. You've got to come in now and go for the undercut and swap over to the wets and just try and make them last the next, 25 laps or so, and hope that the rain hangs around long enough to make that viable, that you don't need to come in for a third stop. It's a long shot. It's going to be really, really hard work, but it's about the best shot they've got right now.
Absolutely. Ryan Palmer on the dry tyre is an interesting one. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about how I feel about that strategy with the amount of water that's currently on the track and the fact that it is still raining out there at the circuit. So there is still water falling onto the circuit. We're at the point now where we're almost to the end of this patch of rain. It's almost going to stop soon and will start to dry up, so that will go back in the favour of Ryan Palmer. But at the moment, he will be struggling a little bit in these conditions. Oh, contact! That's Brett Loxton and Matt Bowler. Heavy front end contact for Matt Bowler. He's lost the front end of that car. The front bar has come off, and that is huge damage to that car. He'll have to come in now. He has to serve pit stop and get that repaired. I believe so. Brett Loxton has disappeared up the road, so I thought that was Brett Loxton in front trying to redress, but it is James Chassenalf. So the stewards will look at that, I'm sure, but these conditions super tricky. Brett Loxton, he's doing the best he can, but unfortunately it's now ended in disaster for Matt Bowler.
It has, and we'll go back and we'll take a look at that, because I wonder, the RF Designs replay will show us this. I actually think that Loxton might have been right to hold his line here. I think he's been squeezed all the way to the track edge, and he's just not moved off the line. Oh, no, I stand corrected. There was not a lot in that.
No.
But, look, the stewards will figure that out. Loxton was on his way back to make sure he didn't end up on the grass. He didn't really have much of another option. The headlights are on now, so it's starting to Starting to get a little bit dark out there. There's a big slide from Van Dell. And he's making the most of this. Starting to get a couple of extra spots where he can. But still hovering around this mid-pack as everyone just tries to decide what to do with these conditions. It's definitely wet out there. It's not soaking wet. You can see there's not a great deal of puddles forming anywhere, so it's mostly just light surface water. Big contact there. Josh Harris goes around and gets collected by Paul Young. So Harris will get it going again once he gets off the grass. Going to have to rejoin here and then make a decision about what he's doing next. Loxton and Chastaneau, 4th and 5th, still hanging in there on the dry tyres. I mean, what do you do in their boots, right? Do you just keep going as best you can and know that this is going to turn sometime soon-ish? I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to make a massive difference or not, but I think the pit stop happening for all of these guys at lap 12, I mean, that's a good 6 or 7 laps before they can make it home. So everyone's going to have to come through and make a second stop. The drivers on dry tyres are hoping this rain goes away and the track clears quickly. The drivers on wet tyres are praying for the rain to stay as long as possible and for the track to hold out so they can actually get as many laps as possible out of these wets. But they do have the slight advantage because they're going to need to come in at some point to refuel anyway. So as soon as the track dries up, they can change across to dries without too much penalty. It's a really, really tough strategy situation these guys find themselves in.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. And keep in mind, we're only at the halfway point of this race now as we move on to lap 22. So there's still plenty of racing left to go. And the rain, I think, not too far away from being over. So the dry tyre could start to play a role once again. But again, they haven't really... They pitted when everybody else pitted and just chose to stay on dry. So I'm not entirely... I'm trying to work out in my mind what's the move here, right? What is the move? What do they know that we don't? I feel like I'm missing something in this situation that they...
But it wouldn't be the first time we've been missing something
to set themselves up. But because I'm just trying to think about it logically. Brett Loxton goes straight on. He's not pulling that up.
Yeah, those dry tyres are really struggling now.
They are struggling.
If
you come in now for another set of... But if you come in for another set of dries now, the track is wetter than it was before.
Absolutely.
The tyres are definitely not getting up to temperature. The rain is almost over. And yes, you can stay out. The track will start to get to the point where it improves, and as he clears that slowdown finally. But the track will get to the point where it improves. It was a massive cut, so no wonder it was a brutal slowdown. Oh, there goes James Chastaneau. He's been spun, helped on his way by one of the... I believe it was Sam Carl. Yeah, Loxton is in the lane. And does he go for the wet tyres here? I think he's going to have to.
While these guys are navigating this at the moment, I've been meaning to go back and take a look at Matt Bakir's crash on lap 3, which I know was a long time ago now. But the precise replay will show us this. I wonder what actually happened with that one. And this was as he passed Dean Power. You might remember we were talking about whether he's cut across too aggressively here. Dean Power's on the inside. Oh, that's an interesting one. That is an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. Can confirm, James Chastaneau, wet tyres, Brett Loxton, wet tyres. So they've both gone to wets. They're now in with Ryan Palmer, who's on the dry tyres. So he's still trying to do the best he can on a set of dries at the moment. He's closed up to Scott Watts in 21st position. But now... it seems Josh Harris in the lane with a meatball flake. Something has happened to Josh Harris that has caused quite a significant amount of damage, and he is in the lane in 27th position.
I wonder if it was the contact earlier for Josh Harris where he's come off track. Was it maybe a bit more of a hit than it looked at first? We'll take another look in just a moment as Jamie Dyke continues to lead this pack that starts at 4th position, and a few drivers still sticking there with him. I'm just looking at the lap times at the moment. Ryan Palmer on dries, last lap was a 1:19 flat. Now, by comparison, the lead drivers are just under 117, so he's a couple of seconds off. But with this rain just about to stop, like we are on the very cusp of it stopping. There's still basically half the race to go. As soon as a dry line starts to form here, you would expect that Palmer should be able to start putting down, let's call it 12s or 13s, right? A couple seconds off full race pace while the track really dries out, but that's still going to be 3.5 seconds faster than the rest of the field. So, like, he's a long way down. He's in 21st. He's a good, 30, 40 seconds back from the leaders right now, but an opportunity, if the weather behaves itself, for him to recover this. If he manages to pull that off, it's going to be pretty spectacular.
Well, yeah, absolutely it will be. But keep in mind, he pitted on lap 17 with a little bit of fuel saving. He should get home from here. Everyone around him, if it does dry up enough, he's going to have to come in for a dry tyre. So he should get home from here, in theory. But everyone else around him is going to have to come in at least. Oh, Josh Harris, this is what happened. Massive contact with the wall. That's at the exit of 2. And that is, we did well to avoid a safety car there because that is huge. That has broken the car. Look at the way it's crawling when he tries to spin it around.
Yeah, that's definitely not the incident I thought it was, and a pretty sizable one. Interestingly enough, and we've said this before, our telemetry doesn't actually pick crashes up unless they go under a certain speed at a certain point, and that crash was high speed enough that it didn't even register as anything other than an off track. So that gives you a bit of a feel for it. Now, Hayden Veld's in, James Scott's in. Lap 25, what are they going to do? If they change to dry tyres, that's going to tell you a lot about where this race is about to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Palmer's in the pit lane. And he's back out again. He's on wets. Ryan Palmer's gone to wets. What is going on? I do not understand.
Hang on. Have we had a safety car call here?
I think we've had a safety car. I think we have. There's a car spun on the front straight. Who is that has stopped on the front straight? Adrian Gresh, I believe, maybe stopped.
It is. Yep, Adrian Gresh is
stopped
parked on the front straight.
Safety car.
Now what happens?
Has the rain stopped?
Look, it's tricky with the iRacing cameras. It's still around, but at certain
it's still there. Yeah.
At certain zoom levels, you can't actually see it, which makes our job tricky here in the booth. I will tell you though, it's the very last bits of it. You can see now that we're pretty much at the end of this rain. Who's got the cojones here to come out on dries? If
I was Ryan Palmer, I would have stayed out on the dries. I feel like he would have been in a good spot with this safety car. He could have saved some fuel. He definitely would have made it to the end of this race. So that's an interesting call for Ryan to come in for the wet tyre. I'm a bit baffled by that. He was setting himself up. Oh, yeah. And as we said, those curves are like ice in wet conditions, and that is a huge contact with the pit wall. There is only one car on circuit at the moment on a dry tyre, and that is, Matt McKee's just coming into the pit lane. So we could see everybody on wets here, which, again, if I was Ryan Palmer, obviously I'm not Ryan Palmer, but if I was, I would have stayed on that dry tyre. I feel like the dries are about to become the tyre to be on, and Jamie Dyke, as a result, could be in the box seat for this race, because he is leading this pack. Everybody will need to stop again if the circuit continues to dry up the way that it does.
Yeah, and that's the question at the moment, isn't it? The rain about to clear, just how quickly is this circuit going to dry up? It wasn't particularly heavy rain at any point. It's gone on for a while. I mean, when did we see it show up? Around about lap 10 or 15? Somewhere around there. So
roughly around then.
It's gone on for, I mean, let's call it 20 minutes of rain. So it's a decent amount, but we don't have much in the way of puddles forming. There's definitely some spray off the cars from the water that's sitting on the track surface, but the minute this rain stops, and it should happen in the next probably 5 minutes, so in the next 2 or 3 laps, we're expecting this to stop. But I think this is going to dry up a lot quicker than maybe some of these drivers are expecting. Now, mate, it's such a tough call here. The wets are definitely faster than the dries, but for how much longer? and knowing that everyone has to come in and change over, you've got to think that, yeah, for Jamie Dyke and Ben Morris, they're probably actually the best placed, and this safety car has been an absolute godsend for them because it's giving time for the rain to clear. Both Dyke and Morris pitted on lap 12 when everyone else did on that first safety car. Now,
Yes.
the way this plays out here, they can get to about lap 35. So there's still another 8 or 9 laps, because of course they'll be saving a fair bit of fuel here behind the safety car. There's still another 8 or 9 laps before these guys are going to run out of fuel, which is plenty of time for the track to dry up and to make this manageable on a dry tyre to see it out. The problem is going to be, oh no, under safety car, we've had a collision. What's happened? We've had a driver coming through. There's Adrian Gresh coming through on a Adrian Gresh coming through on a wave by, and he's taken out Sam Cullen. I don't know how that's happened,
hit.
but that is inexcusable in safety car conditions. I have no idea what's happened there. We'll go back and we'll take a look in just a moment, but that's going to extend that safety car period, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because neither of those guys are moving at the moment. Well, Adrian Gresh definitely not moving. It looks like Sam Cullen might be trying to get going, but he's not. Here we go. This is what happens. It's coming through. Oh, and
what was Cullen doing out there?
I think that was Cullen maybe just not in line. The instruction from race control would have been for all drivers to stick to the left while Gresh comes past. So not entirely sure what has happened. Here we go. This is a look from, and he just pulls to the right hand side, and
wow.
I don't have many words to try and explain what's happened there.
That's something else. I have not seen that before, and I don't think we'll see it again. Sam Cullen decided to start weaving there and try and get some temp in the tyres, and I mean he's just seen Ryan Palmer, I think it was, that was coming through with the wave by, I believe was getting waved through. So you know that
shouldn't have been getting waved through. It would have been Josh Harris.
Josh Harris, sorry. Yeah, you're right. It would have been Josh Harris getting waved through. So, yeah, wow.
That's a really confusing one.
That is one for the books.
That is, well, because race control definitely also would have confirmed with all drivers that they were to stick to the left until car 63 had passed them, because they were, they make it very clear this is what's happening. This is the wave by procedure, and unfortunately for Sam Cullen, he maybe missed that. Oh, there's Josh Harris, so it was not Josh Harris that was going by.
No, hang on just a second. This is Josh Harris getting waved by, and I've gone back a little bit further here because
yes, here we go.
We needed to, essentially.
Yep.
So Josh Harris gets the wave by instruction. Where did he come past Sam Cullen? It's got to be just up here. So there's Sam Cullen.
Where is he?
Just off the right screen there.
Yep.
So there's the wave through. And here comes Gresh, and Cullen goes, three of them, actually, though. Cullen was not the only offender by any stretch.
Were they expecting Gresh? That's the next question I have. Was Gresh, did they know that Gresh was coming? Because it looks like there was multiple drivers that were not aware of the fact that there was another driver yet to come through.
Well, that'll be a fun one for race control to deal with. Once again, very glad to be up here in the comms booth and not down in race control figuring this out. The rain has cleared the track.
It has stopped.
So we're going to see whether a dry line forms in time for Jamie Dyke and Ben Morris to make something of this. This is an absolute gift for them at the moment. Jamie Dyke's going to hold this as long as he possibly can. Look at him stacking up out there. They want to get moving. Jamie Dyke's going to hold them all the way. Then there he goes. He finally puts the foot down. And a brilliant bit of driving. Jamie Dyke knows that he needed to create that gap because he's going to need to make a huge amount of space between himself and the Eclipse Sim Sports guys that are just a couple of spots back. Big slide on the way out of one. And here we go, folks.
It is on now. The conditions will start to clear up. The rain has stopped here at Watkins Glen, side by side. That is Doyle and Nielsen, I believe. And now we've got Haydenveld, Jamie Dyke off in the distance. Haydenveld has found his way past, and James Scott as well, overtaken Ben Morris. And Dane Snadden also finds his way past Ben Morris on the restart here. So it's all going on. The old wet tyres for Ben Morris proving to be a little bit difficult to handle on this restart now. We've got cars a little bit all over the place in the background as we run through the bus stop, and side by side Scott Watts with Warren, was that Matt Bakir? I believe it is Matt Bakir that now goes side by side past Scott Watts, and that will open the door for Ryan Palmer. Got meatball flag still for the two in pit lane. I don't think we'll see them again in this race, unfortunately. Up the inside maybe for Matt Bowler finds his way past Ben Morris. So Ben Morris getting his ears boxed at the restart here. This is Jamie Dyke and Haydenveld side by side in the braking zone into turn one. Haydenveld, and looks to go with him just James Scott up the inside, late on the brakes, capitalise on the fact that his teammate took the inside line into turn one, and now they get the double overtake on Jamie Dyke, and it is a 1-2 once again for Eclipse Sim Sports. Matt Bowler not too far behind this group. Jamie Dyke, he won't be too happy about that, but he is on much older wet tyres, so has to do what he can just to slip in behind these guys. Now we've got cars still looking to find overtakes in the background. It's all happening here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I've got to wonder, and keep an eye on the spray coming out of, as we said before, from the diffuser of these cars. The minute that starts to clear up on the dry line, at least, that's when these guys are going to be thinking about going to the dry tyres again. The only question is just how much water is actually still on the track surface, just how long is it going to take to get to that point. As James Doyle loses a spot to Chastanov, who comes through into 10th now, ahead of the two Koala Cartel cars of Doyle and Jensen. Thomas Hinds behind him. And we've got a few close battles, but sneaky moves happening. Sebastian Vardell and Dane Snadden in 4th and 5th. They're both up 10 spots so far this race. Make that 9 for Snadden as he loses a spot to Matt Bowler.
It's yeah, and I think he's got back past Matt Bowler, so Dane Snadden another overtake. So this battle is still going on. He's not done yet. Is Dane Snadden a little bit loose as he takes the outside line, but sweeps back in front of Matt Bowler. Holds on for now. Matt Bowler obviously also recovering from damage he had earlier on after a clash with Brett Loxton. Thomas Hinds looking to fight his way back through the field as well after an incident earlier on in the race. So a couple drivers with incidents earlier on, and I think they've got that sorted before they got to the bus stop. They did. Thomas Hinds has to sit in behind Liam Jensen once again for now. Where is, just looking where Ryan Palmer is, he's in 18th place. So again, I would have stuck on the dry tyres. Again, I'm sure hindsight is a wonderful thing, and they'll look back on this. But everyone pretty much out there at the moment is on a wet tyre. There's not a single driver that is on the dry tyre at the moment. So it is damp conditions, but how quickly does this surface dry? That is the question that we are wondering at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a question that we're not going to get an answer to for a little while. This is what it looks like from inside the car. There's not a huge amount of spray, but there's certainly still water coming up off the cars ahead. It's close. It feels close, but particularly with the variety of lines that you're getting from some of these drivers, you're not going to get quite as distinct a racing line forming, particularly through turn 1 and turn 2, and that's the real danger zone, right? You're coming off that long front straight, full noise. If you're doing that on a dry tyre, you're going to want to be really, really sure where the track is dry, and to be sure that you can actually hit it time and time again off what's left of this race. I mean, we've got 12 laps left to go. Is it enough? Is it enough for Jamie Dyke here to be thinking about maybe an undercut to get on the dries just a lap or two earlier. He's going to have to time this really, really well, but he is running out of time. He's got about 5 laps of fuel in the tank, I'd say.
Yeah, and is it going to dry up within the next 5 laps? We don't know. I don't know if it's going to
so far.
be
It's
enough.
still staying fairly damp.
It is, but hopefully some green flag running might change that for these drivers. This is the battle for 20th spot on the road. Tristan McLaren leading, Ronald Long, Josh Harris, Matt McKeer, Chris Crode also not too far behind this little group as well. So this is the back end of the field. These are pretty much all the drivers left on track except for Scott Watts, who, did he just come into the lane? He did a couple laps ago for another set of wet tyres. So not entirely sure what's happened there for Scott Watts, if that was an incident that maybe forced him to come in. But Thomas Inns gets past Liam Jensen up into 12th place now, continuing to try and move forward through this field. Kyle Cartel car was providing a little bit of trouble not too long ago, so has it's finally got that done. Ryan Palmer's up into 16th as well, keeping an eye on his progress in these conditions. James Chasnaff, our championship leader, down to 10th. Here we go. Brett Loxton defending from Ryan Nielsen. So they're getting a little bit racy at the moment towards the front of this field. The confidence they have on the wet tyres now as these conditions start to clear up a little bit. The grip starts to come back onto the surface so they can push a little bit harder. The lap times are coming down. They're in the 1:15s now. Not sure what the crossover point is in terms of lap time. I don't know if you're got that data in front of you, Jared Cole, but 1:15s for the leaders. They're starting to get faster.
Yeah, they are, and that's probably about the best sort of time we've seen on wet tyres, which suggests to me that we're probably not far off the wet tyres being slower than dries. I mean, we saw Ryan Palmer running 19s on dries before at the worst. A big slide there from Ryan Nielsen. He tries to get it pulled up, manages to keep it pointed in the right direction somehow, but that gives Brett Loxton just a second chance at this. The biggest problem that you've got particularly for Jamie Dyke right now, sitting in 5th at the moment, and needs to come in unless he's done a phenomenal job of fuel saving under the couple of safety car periods that we've had. He's going to have to come in at some point. We are at a point now where we're into 10 laps to go. I don't think he can make up enough time, even if the track dries up right now. The sun comes out and this water evaporates in the next 2 laps. I don't think we're at a point where he's going to be able to make up enough time to actually offset the time he'll spend in pits. I think it was worth a shot, but unfortunately, I think Jamie Dyke is done. That's my call at this point. I don't think he can. I don't think he can effectively make anything of this at this stage.
And I do not believe it's going to dry up enough for everyone else to want to get off the wet tyres at the rate that it's currently drying. That could change in a lap or two. You never know. Brett Loxton up the inside it does seem very, very unlikely, but Brett Loxton trying to get that move done on Ben Morris, but Ben Morris isn't quite finished yet with this. He's going to try and come back at him through turn 2. And sitting in the background is Ryan Nielsen, ready to pounce if he can. He wants to follow through on Ben Morris as well, but not able to make it stick at the moment. He wasn't close enough, far enough up on the run up the hill. Does want to be a bit closer on the run towards the bus stop, though. This could be a move for Ryan Nielsen. He pulls alongside, gets that done into the braking zone, and that's another spot gain. So Ben Morris, again, also continuing to fall back. Whether that's just the old tyres or maybe he's trying to do a bit of fuel saving to make this run stretch out as long as he possibly can. But I feel like for Ben Morris as well, he's another one of those drivers where I feel like it's just not going to go his way, unfortunately, today. We'd love to see it work out that way, but I just don't think this water's going to go away as fast as they want it to for the dries to be effective.
Yeah, and look, realistically, there's enough water on the track off the line that the drivers on wets, even if it did dry up on the main line, they're going to be able to find a line to keep these tyres in shape. This is now a race to the end for the drivers who did make their pit stops a little bit earlier, and we're back to a 1-2-3 at the front for Eclipse Sim Sports. Veld, Scott and Bowler absolutely monstering it here at Watkins Glen, and Eclipse Sim Sports dominating as they find themselves with a 6-second gap from Scott back to Bowler. There it is in the background. Sebastian Vardell, though, still with them, up 10 spots. It's been an interesting turn of events, And had that rain cleared just a little bit faster, or not been quite as heavy, I reckon there was going to be a very, very different story here tonight. But as it's gone, the move to the wets was the right call, and staying with them and getting in and getting that fuel under that second safety car has absolutely paid off for the vast majority of this field. We're just getting confirmation here from Sam Cullen and from a couple of others as well that the cars were told they're allowed to resume warming tyres. And I have noted from race control that Adrian Gresh has been instructed not to return to the track, which suggests to me that he probably, or potentially, I won't say probably, but potentially Gresh wasn't actually cleared to get that wave through, and perhaps just followed through on Josh Harris, expecting that was the order.
That is...
Yeah, it's
interesting indeed. Well, it seems that Sam Cullen was doing the right thing and following the instructions of race control, because as we said, race control would tell drivers if they needed to stay to that left-hand side. Jamie Dyke to the left-hand side on the run-in towards the bus stop, trying to find a way past Dane Snadden, but not able to at this stage.
He must be close to fuel.
I was about to say, you feel like any moment now is that car's going to start coughing. He needs to be in soon, surely. I don't think he can be out there for too much longer, but yeah, it's super unfortunate for Sam Cullen that then it seems that Adrian Gresh has maybe not followed the rules or the directive of race control, and as you said, has been instructed not to return to the track.
Either,
so,
though, right?
Well, no, but it's a tricky situation.
It's a really, really tricky situation, because when you consider the sporting code and the MC Motorsport rules as well, the passing driver has a responsibility to do so safely. Then there's the other instructions that come in under safety car as well. Was there a call from race control to say they could start warming tyres, not realising that Gresh hadn't cleared the field? I don't know, but that'll all be resolved, I'm sure, in post. What I'm not seeing here is massive fuel saving from Jamie Dyke. So either he's done a great job of it so far and is set to make it all the way home, or he knows that he's out of this and he just needs to push as hard as he possibly can. But either way, he is not hanging about.
He is not hanging about at all. He is very much wanting to get on with this. It is starting to look a little bit drier out there. Not enough for dryers, though, at the moment. They're still in the 114s, so lap times are coming down, but I just don't think they're coming down significantly enough for it to make a major difference. Around the outside, right, Brett Loxton tries on his teammate. No, that's James Chastain. Sorry, they want to go 3 wide into the final corner, and they can't. Very, very wide from Brett Loxton. Was that into the wall? I think it was. There's damage to the front left of that Mustang, and that is into the wall for Brett Loxton. So very frustrating. He ran very wide into the final corner, battling with these. So we've got a car loose in the background. Has he caught it? I think he has. Again, it's all happening at the moment, isn't it? It's carnage everywhere, chaos ensuing. This is Thomas Hinz back up into the top 10 now. And James Doyle on our screen struggling slightly. Ryan Palmer is here as well. Hello, Ryan Palmer. Where has he come from? All the way from the back of the field. And now looking at the back end of the top 10, he led the race early on in the piece and had got caught out on the dry tyres when everyone else went to wets, and then had to come back in for another set of wet tyres. And now Liam Jensen also getting a part of this. Everyone wants a piece of the battle that's happening at the back end of the top 10 at the moment.
This is one of the great things about racing on a wet track, though, right, is that the entire track surface becomes pretty even in terms of grip. Your standard racing line gets a lot slipperier with the water sitting on top of the rubber that's been laid down, and the rest of the track actually ends up having just as much, if not more, grip than your usual racing line. You can see this stuff happen when you are racing in wet conditions. You're getting 3 wide through corners where you'd never dream of doing it otherwise. It always makes it some pretty exciting viewing. A few sparks there as drivers just touching in the background. A big contact there. That's Liam Jensen. Liam Jensen is around. He doesn't look like he's going to be stuck there, but that's a really awkward spot as the rest of the field might catch up with him and come through at full noise. Thankfully, he seems to have gotten away with it. Further up through the field, Jamie Dyke is stuck behind Danestan, can't find a way through at the moment. That's going to be frustrating him so much, I'm sure. 4 laps to go. Is Jamie Dyke going to make this home? If he actually hangs on to this P6 is going to be incredibly well earned.
Yeah, he is really fighting for this, and if he has managed to save fuel, we had a couple safety cars, so that would have played a factor. But again, that's a lot of fuel to save. So
he's basically saved 7 laps, hasn't he? Like we said that you'd probably get 25, maybe 26 laps out of a tank of fuel. He came in on lap 12, so he should have been coming in around lap 38. It's now lap 41 and he's still out there. It's about 7 laps of fuel that he's had to save. You can see him backing off very early, so he's definitely managing it at the moment. But Matt Bakir has gone off and into the wall as well. So the bad night continues for Matt Bakir. He's into the wall and he's going to try and limp that home. But yeah, Jamie Dyke he's under pressure from a fuel perspective. And I think he's just going to try and rescue the best result that he can here. He's
just going to do the best that he can. And this is side by side with Chastinel from Dyke now. 6 spot off the road, Ryan Nielsen. So got very, very wide through the bus stop. And it's still going on with these two. And I think Chastinel now has that spot settled. And
I don't think Dyke's got the fuel to contest anything at this point.
I don't think. I think he just has to let him go and hope that he can stick inside this top 10, really.
Just a few laps left. It's going to be an impressive finish, regardless. To make it from lap 12 without another stop for fuel would be absolutely amazing. He's going to just barely make it across the line, surely. I expect that he'll probably lose another 2 or 3 spots, but regardless, an excellent display of fuel saving under safety cars to make this happen. He must have switched the car off, honestly, and been rolling every chance that he could.
Yeah, he's really managed to pull this one out of nowhere, hasn't he? I'm looking at Ben Morris. Ben Morris is also another driver that pitted on lap 12, and he's managing to stay. He's down in 16th though, so he's struggling a little bit more with the fuel saving. But Jamie Dyke, man, he's done a wonderful job if he can keep this out. And that's straight on for who is that without the front bar? It's
that's Tristan McLaren.
Straight on there.
Yeah, so
must
down
be
to 23rd, he is
so yeah,
a good lap off the pace. So probably just staying out of the way. Out in front, we'll come back up front because James Scott and Hayden Veld, we're what, 2 laps away here from being on the, well, they'll get the white flag next time around, won't they? So yeah, this is the penultimate lap that they're on. Are we going to see them battle it out? Hayden Veld's definitely pushing on. He wants P1 here.
He is. Well, he did have P1, so it was a change of lead, and James Scott got back into the lead, and Hayden Veld I believe would feel like, oh, look at this. They're not. There's no team orders here, is there? They are really going for it, these two, with only a lap and a half to go through the bus stop. Hayden Veld will feel like this was his race to win, and James Scott just has so much pace in that car, and I definitely feel like the livery adds a little bit of speed with channeling in. He's in a Brock Feeney with that Red Bull Ampol livery.
Is this going to turn into a parody conversation all of a sudden? Or?
I don't know. I mean, it is Triple 8. I think he's got one of those Triple 8 Mustangs, not one of the regular Mustangs. He's got one of those special Triple 8 edition ones that definitely have a little bit of parody favoured their way. Not a conspiracy theory at all, I promise. Ryan Palmer has done a great job to get back up onto the rear end of the top 10. He's knocking on the door though with Ryan Nielsen and James Doyle here. He could get a spot with these two battling away before this race is over. Pushes wide. Ryan Nielsen with James Doyle. It's going to open the door for Ryan Palmer to go around the outside now into the final corner. There's going to be a little bit of touching. No, I think they've gotten away with that fairly cleanly. White flag wave. So this is the final lap. There is a bit of side-to-side contact between the two Ryans now on the run towards turn 1. And he just has to settle him. He might lose another spot here to Brett Loxton if he's not careful. These guys are going to put the scrap on for the last spot inside the top 10. And that's a massive slide for James Doyle, and I think Brett Loxton almost half helped him and then helped him straighten it back up again. So it was a bit of helping to turn, then helping to straighten. Ryan Palmer with the lights flashing, and he will want that last spot. But I think James Scott's pretty much got this.
Yeah, Hayden Veld has just come off the back, and unfortunately it does mean that he won't take P1 here, but it does look set to be a Eclipse Sim Sports podium as we see James Scott comes across the line, Hayden Veld in second place, and a great win there for James Scott. Matt Bowler is going to come across in third, just ahead of Sebastian Vardell, who to his credit up 10 spots. Dane Snadden up 10 spots into fifth as well for Whiskey Business Racing. Ryan Palmer's going to throw everything at it out of the final corner to try and pick up an extra spot. He was going to go with Jamie Dyke. They're side to side, they're clashing doors as they come across the line, and it looks like Palmer's going to take that ahead of Nielsen, only just. Jamie Dyke holds on to 8th. He last pitted on lap 12. That has been a phenomenal fuel-saving drive. In the background, James Doyle missed out with Brett Loxton by just 0.02 of a second. Josh Harris just misses out on taking Liam Jensen, and Chris Croat just behind Ben Morris as well. A lot of very, very close finishes there as we get towards the last of the drivers coming across the line. But it is an Eclipse Sim Sports 1, 2, 3. James Scott taking a much more sedate approach to get back to it. Hayden Veld is going to drift it all the way. Or at least I was expecting him to, and now he's... Oh, there we go. Veld's going to continue to push it.
Vardell looked like he was getting a bit sideways in the background in the bus stop. So Hayden Veld, typically when we see him win a race, he'll do the lap backwards, but when he comes in on the podium, he likes a bit of sideways work. This is who have we got on our screen here? This is the other one of the Eclipse Sim Sports cars, and Matt Bowler doing a bit of sideways work as well. So there's a bit of drifting going on out there in these wet conditions. Look how sideways he's got to hit. He's keeping off the wall. He doesn't.
Just leaving a little bit of paint behind.
There, but yeah, just leave it. Just leaving your mark. And there is our race winner, James Scott, 2 from 2 tonight, and he is trying to make a run at this championship, isn't he? He really wants to make a mark and try and launch a challenge at James Chastenow. It is close with that top 7, that top 8 even in the championship. So I'll be interested to see off the back of tonight how that's swung in terms of where everyone stands.
And we will go to the race results now, and I might ask you to run through this for us, Isaac, while I grab myself a quick drink.
All right, we'll have a look at our race results when they pop onto our screen momentarily. So James Scott takes out the victory. Another 1, 2, 3 for Eclipse Sim Sports. I believe the exact same order in which they finished in race 1 as well. So James Scott, Hayden Veld, then Matt Bowler. Sebastian Vardell, a wonderful drive back from 14th after that massive incident in race 1. Comes home in 4th place, up 10 spots, as well as Dave Snadden, also up 10 spots in that race, finishing P5. James Chastenow in 6th, that championship leader. We'll see where he sits after tonight. Thomas Hinds, Jamie Dyke, wonderful drive to come home with just pitting on lap 12 and doing almost 20, I can't even do the maths, I'll have to do the maths later on, but a significant number of laps on those on that tank of fuel. He's done a very good job. Ryan Palmer comes home in 9th place. Ryan Nielsen as well in rounding out the top 10. Brett Loxton just misses out on the top 10 finish in 11th, and James Doyle, Dean Powell, Paul Young. So Dean Powell takes out the AM Cup champion, or the AM Cup race tonight, and finishes in first place. Simon Capel, a great drive back through the field to finish 15th and 2nd in class. Liam Jensen, Josh Harris, Brad Grant, Ben Morris also stopped on lap 12, finishing 19th in the end, and Chris Croat rounding out our top 20. Looking a little further afield, we have Ronald Long finishing 3rd in the AM class, and then Jake Rebelliard, Tristan McLaren finishing a lap down, Scott Watts finishing a couple laps down, and then Matt Bakir, Sam Cullen and Adrian Gresh also finishing a handful of laps down. And unfortunately for Sam Cullen and Adrian Gresh, that incident behind the safety car put an end to their evening. But what an action-packed evening it was for the MC Motorsport's return to the V8s tonight.
Absolutely was. We don't seem to have Matt Bowler just yet waiting for us outside the booth, so we might jump past 3rd place and we'll have a quick chat to 2nd place in race number 2 tonight, which was, of course, Hayden Veld. Hayden, welcome back into the booth, my friend.
How are you going?
Well, look, we weren't quite sure what to make of that race tonight and where it was going to go, but in the end, it seems to have worked out all right for you guys in Eclipse Sim Sports. It's been a 1-2-3 in both races.
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred to be 1-1 personally, but no,
we did see you pushing pretty hard for that, mate.
Yeah, no, for the Alliance was pretty good to secure that. Not that we're, to be honest, we don't even speak to each other in this race. We're sort of all in different chats, so we run similar things, but we're not really working together as much in this as we do in other stuff. But all in all, good race.
Yeah, look, with the battles that we saw tonight, that should be no massive surprise to really anybody. There's a lot of door-to-door action there between the Eclipse drivers, but a good outcome all the same. Mate, thank you so much for dropping in. Congratulations on the results this evening. Before we let you go, aside from Sabrina, of course, anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
I was going to give Sabrina, but I guess I can't now, so...
Oh, you still can. Don't let me stop you.
But no, just all the boys, Clips, the Alliance, the Goose guys, Tippy for the... he was my radar man tonight. Because they let me know that it should stop raining, and I continued to see rain fall, so questioned him a lot, but he was quite helpful. And then, yeah, just the huge... Oh, Bowler for moving across me on each race start. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I might have to hire him a new spotter, but yeah.
Mate, another fun night of racing as always. Thanks so much for dropping in, and a pleasure to talk to you once again.
Hey, Rude boys. See you next year.
Veld takes out P2 in race number 2, and we'll jump back a spot now and just pick up a conversation with third place here tonight in race 2. It is, of course, Matt Bowler, and he joins us in the booth now. G'day, Matt.
G'day.
Mate, it looked like an interesting set of conditions out there tonight. What did you think of race 2? And, of course, congratulations on P3.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I honestly had no idea it was going to rain until I was on the grid, so I had no idea what to do there. But yeah, just trying to keep the nose clean, really. Got in a bit of a biff with, I think it was Brett, and it wrote the front of the car off, so I was took the second stop quite early. I think I did about 25 odd laps on the one set of wet, so they were absolutely rooted at the end of the race. So just lucky to hang on for P3, but all in all, pretty good fun.
Mate, it certainly looked like it. Just how touch and go was the track? We were trying to decide whether or not dries would have been an option towards the end, but it still looked like it was fairly damp out there right through to the finish. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, it was starting to dry up quite a bit, but there were still some definite areas where it felt like it was still wet. But yeah, when you're that close to the end of the race, you'd much rather just sort of suck it up and finish it off. If there's 20 odd laps, then different story. But yeah, it didn't feel like we were losing too much time. That would have been nice to obviously catch up to James and Hayden, but yeah, tyres were gone, so did what we could. But yeah.
Well, mate, considering how long you're out there on them, you've done bloody well to keep it straight. Congratulations on the results tonight, mate. Anyone you want to say hello to or shout out to in terms of sponsors tonight before we let you go?
I just want to say congrats to both Hayden and James. They drove awesome. I'm pretty happy I didn't actually take Hayden out tonight. So makes me feel quite good knowing I didn't take him out. Just a massive shout out to all the Eclipse boys. Obviously, core temp air conditioning on the side of the car. They've jumped on board for this season, so awesome to have them and stoked to get a podium lockout for them.
Massive drive tonight from all the Eclipse drivers. Congratulations on your set of results, mate. Some good points coming your way.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Matt Bowler takes out P3, and that leaves us, of course, with the only other Eclipse Sim Sports driver on the podium that we haven't spoken to yet, and we'll get him on in to the booth now. It is, of course, James Scott takes the win here tonight in race number 2. James, welcome on into the comms booth.
Thanks, fellas.
Mate, it was a fun race out there by all accounts. A fair bit of sliding around and a little bit of argy-bargy even between the teammates. Of course, Hayden not letting you walk away too easily with that one out in front, but you've managed to hold on. What was the secret sauce tonight for you?
First race. I don't really know what, like, I've just got back from holiday, so I haven't driven in like 3 weeks, but
Bit of a humble brag,
yeah,
but
I
go
was
on.
a bit rusty in the first race. Anyway, first race was a bit how you going, but I think it was just about who had the draft. It was probably felt like they were faster. I'm sure Hayden probably felt like he was a bit faster in the first race, and then if I got behind, I probably felt like I was a bit faster. But yeah, and then second race, I had no idea it was even going to rain. Like my spotter in the first race said, chance of rain, didn't rain. Said the same in the second race. I was like, oh, it's probably not going to rain. And then yeah, came down, had no idea what tyres to put on at the stop because it was a bit 50-50, but went with the safe bet, and yeah, luckily it was the right one.
Mate, certainly played out the right way for you tonight. We were definitely guessing up here in the booth as to what the right strategy was going to be, and I think we probably even called it wrong a few times on whether or not the wets would actually last all the way to the end, but it turns out it was the right call this evening, and it's ended up with a nice little set of points for you in the second race. Mate, thank you so much for dropping in to have a quick chat to us before we let you go. Anyone you want to say hi to or any sponsors to thank for this evening's racing?
Yeah, thanks obviously all the guys at the Chiefs. Yeah, rookie error, signed up in the wrong car tonight, but might have to keep it. It's got a good good winning ratio, so might have to keep that one. Yeah, all the guys at the Chiefs, Aussie Broadband, Logitech G, and Westfield. Great to have those guys on the car, and yeah, you guys for the broadcast. It's a shame I missed a couple of weeks, but yeah, no, glad to be back and shake some rough stuff.
Good fun watching you from up here, and looking forward to seeing you up the front again for another couple of weeks yet. We will hopefully get a chance to chat to you sometime in the next few rounds. Congratulations again though tonight on the results.
Thanks, mate.
James Scott takes the win in race number 2, and I don't know about you, Isaac, but the Eclipse lockout of the podium was not unexpected given the dominance in qualifying, but certainly the way that we got there was a little less straightforward, let's say, than I was probably expecting.
Yeah, look, I was really looking forward to tonight being, you know, not necessarily a procession, but you know, we'd see a couple different strategy calls, and we'd be able to make a bit of an educated guess of what was actually going to happen. And I feel like that rain, we just had to throw the entire book out the window and go, right, well, that's not going to happen. So now we need to we sort of need to get an understanding and get a read of, and every single time we thought we knew what was happening, something else would happen, and all of a sudden it's been thrown out the window, and once again you have to throw the book out and try something different. So these drivers tonight certainly presented a challenge for them. It was wonderful to watch them all try and navigate it, and I think there's a number of drivers that did a fantastic job. All the drivers really did a fantastic job in navigating those conditions and doing the job that they did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when we go racing once again next week.
Absolutely, and speaking of, you know, things happening on track and trying to wrap our heads around it, just getting confirmation through in the chat that Adrian Gresh was not granted the wave by that saw him come together with Sam Cullen in that second safety car period. So our best guess was on the money. Look at that, we get it right occasionally, mate. Really unfortunate then for Sam Cullen for his race to end like that tonight. I expect that Race Control will have a pretty close look at that one. We will take a quick look at the current standings before we do finish up here this evening. And after tonight, James Chassenov continues to hold on to his lead, but Matt Bowler and Hayden Veld doing their best to close it down. Of course, keep in mind that drop rounds will continue to be recalculated each and every round right up until the final race. But Hayden Veld, Jamie Dyke, Brett Loxton all still in. Thomas Hins is still there. Paul Young probably a little bit out of touch with the top 6, but will be fighting for P7, trying to hold Will Buchanan and Ben Morris at bay, as well as Ryan Nielsen and Will Brown. Ryan Palmer an even 1,000 points by our numbers right now. Of course, that might change, but yeah, it's shaping up to be a very, very tight podium. There's not a lot in it still, and we've only got another 4 rounds to go.
Yeah, it's definitely very close at the top there. And yeah, we've got 4 rounds to go. So plenty of points still on offer for all of these drivers, and it's getting closer and closer and closer as the races go on. Simon Kaplitz, though, still comfortably in front of the M Trophy or the M Cup. So he's sitting in 16th. Look further field, it's all the way down to 23rd before we get to Jake Rebellion in 23rd. So he's in a bit of a battle with Dean Powell and Adrian Gresh. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Crucially, though, I'm noticing James Scott is 33rd in points, and he took 2 race victories tonight. So he will be playing a factor in each and every race from here on out, no doubt. But it seems very unlikely he's going to play a factor in this championship. So that could be, if we get to the point later in the season where Matt Bowler and Hayden Veld are looking for a championship, we could see James Scott potentially try and play the team game.
And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Every time that James Scott finishes up towards the front end of this field, he's taking points away from his teammates who are trying desperately to reel in James Chastano. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events, I'm sure, over the next 4 rounds as they start to figure that out. Hayden Veld, as he said earlier, these guys don't really chat much or at all during these races. They're all racing for Eclipse, but yeah, not necessarily playing as a team out on track. They're just enjoying the racing with the team name sort of over the top. I mean, you've got to start to lean on that at some point, don't you? And maybe get James Scott playing a bit more of a strategic role in trying to get Bowler and Veld up to the top of the podium by the time we reach the finish of this season. But, of course, that's still another 4 rounds away. Still plenty of racing yet to come. That'll do us from Watkins Glen here tonight for the Domains2U MCV8 series. We've got more racing coming up throughout the rest of the week. For everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, do take care of yourself. It's goodbye for now.